A CEO pretends to sleep to test a janitor's honesty, but when he whispers 7 words over her still body, everything she built threatens to crumble. Tonight, in a Seattle tower where power and poverty share the same air, one man's grief will expose a billion-dollar lie, ignite a deadly fire, and force a woman who trusts no one to bet everything on the person everyone ignores. Before we begin, hit subscribe and stay until the end. Comment your city below so I can see how far this story travels. I couldn't save my wife, but I won't let anyone be alone again. Alexandra Reed heard those words through the thin veil of her fake sleep, and something inside her chest seized up. She kept her eyes shut, kept her breathing even, but her pulse hammered so hard she was certain he could see it. This was supposed to be simple. A test. Leave a $100 bill on the desk. Watch the security footage. She'd run this game dozens of times. Once she'd even faked a medical emergency to see which executives would help and which would step over her to reach the boardroom. But Carter Williams, the night janitor with gray temples and his daughter's photo taped inside his cleaning cart, had just shattered every rule. The weight of his jacket settled over her shoulders. It smelled like cheap detergent, and something else. Something that reminded her of her father before the cancer. Before she learned that loving people was just another liability. His footsteps retreated. Soft squeak of cartwheels. Gentle click of her office door. Only then did Alexandra open her eyes. The jacket was worn at the elbows, mended with stitches that didn't match. She sat up, pulling it around herself, and for the first time in 17 years as CEO of Apex Solutions, she had no idea what to do next. Her hand shook, reaching for her phone. 2:47 a.m. 36 unread messages from the board from investors from her sister, who she hadn't spoken to in 4 years because family was a distraction she couldn't afford. She should go home. Add this data point to her file on Carter Williams and move on with the merger that would make her company the 3rd largest tech infrastructure firm in North America. Instead, she pulled up his employment record. Carter James Williams, age 46, hired 14 months ago. Night shift floors 30 through 42. References excellent. Background check spotless. Emergency contact. Lily Williams' daughter, age 8. HR note dated 3 months after his hire. Employee requested schedule change to 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. to accommodate daughter's school drop-off. Request approved. Alexandra closed her eyes, but the memory surfaced anyway. Her own father pulling double shifts so she could go to MIT. The way he'd fallen asleep at her graduation exhausted his work-roughened hands clutching the program. "Damn it," she whispered. She stood, folded Carter's jacket over her chair, and made a decision that would either save her company or destroy everything she'd spent 2 decades building. 6:15 a.m. She walked into the executive suite 15 minutes before Carter's shift ended. Marcus, her assistant, looked up from his coffee, startled. "Everything okay?" "Find Carter Williams. I need to see him before he leaves." "The janitor. Now." She paced her office, staring at Elliott Bay 40 floors below. The knock came at 6:23. "Come in?" Carter entered. Tall, maybe 6'2", with shoulders that spoke of manual labor and eyes that had seen something break and never quite healed. He held his cap in both hands. "Ms. Reed, they said you wanted to see me." She picked up his jacket. "You left this." His face didn't change, but something flickered in his eyes. "I saw you working late, thought you might be cold. The AC runs heavy on floor 40. "You could have woken me." "Didn't seem right. You looked like you needed the rest." Alexandra held out the jacket. Their fingers brushed. His hands were calloused, real, nothing like the soft handshakes of boardroom men who'd never built anything they couldn't buy. "I heard what you said." Color drained from Carter's face. "I shouldn't have. That was out of line. I can clean out my locker." "No." She softened her voice. "I need you to do something for me." He waited. She saw it then, the quality that made him whisper those words over a stranger. He was listening. Actually listening. When was the last time anyone truly listened, trying instead of just waiting to pitch or negotiate or demand? "The merger with Technologic Industries closes in 6 weeks, she said. "Before that happens, I need someone I trust to inspect the building's energy management systems. Safety protocols. I need to know if what we're telling investors matches reality." Carter's grip tightened on his cap. "Ma'am, I'm a janitor. I clean floors. I'm not qualified." "You were a Navy electrician, 12 years honorable discharge, specialized in ship-wide power distribution and emergency systems." Silence. "How did you—" "I read files when I can't sleep. Your DD-214 is in your HR packet. You're overqualified to push a mop, Mr. Williams. So why are you here?" His jaw tightened. "Lily, my daughter, she has night terrors since her mother died. Can't be alone after dark. Day jobs don't pay enough for the after-school care she needs. My mother does what she can, but she's 73 with arthritis. Night shift means I'm home when Lily wakes up screaming. Your wife? Vivian. Died 3 years ago in a house fire. Carbon monoxide detector had dead batteries. His voice went flat, each word dropping like a stone. I was deployed in the Persian Gulf. Got the call from the base chaplain at 0300. They said she never woke up. Just went to sleep and didn't wake up. By the time I made it stateside for emergency leave, they'd already buried her next to her parents in Spokane. He looked straight at her then. I came home to an 8-year-old who watched cartoons in her dead mother's bathrobe because it still smelled like her perfume. Lily asked me why I didn't change the batteries before I left. She was 5 years old, and she thought it was my fault. Alexandra's throat closed. Everyone says sorry, Carter continued. Sorry doesn't change anything. Sorry doesn't make me trust the systems that failed. So yes, I know electrical, I know safety codes. I know exactly how buildings like this cut corners to save money and hope nobody dies before the next inspection cycle. Then help me. Help me make sure we're not cutting those corners. Why me? Because last night you whispered something that made me realize I've spent 17 years surrounding myself with people who tell me what I want to hear. I need someone who'll tell me the truth even if it costs them something. Carter studied her. Then he put his cap back on. If I find something wrong, I report it, no matter what it does to your merger. Agreed. And I keep my regular shift. Lily comes first, always. Of course. Then I'll do it. But Ms. Reed, if you're testing me again, you'll be disappointed. I'm not for sale. I don't play games. I do this because buildings that lie kill people. That's the only reason I'm saying yes. He left. Alexandra sat down slowly. She'd built this company by reading people, by knowing which pressure points to push. But Carter Williams had just walked out, and she had no idea if she'd made the smartest move of her career or the biggest mistake. Her phone buzzed. Text from CFO Martin Reeves. Board meeting moved up. 1 hour? They're getting nervous about the merger timeline. She typed back, on my way. But first, she pulled up the building's energy management dashboard. Rows of data streamed across her screen. Power consumption by floor, by system, by minute. Everything looked perfect. Too perfect. She zoomed in on overnight numbers. 40 floors, thousands of systems, not a single anomaly in 6 months. No spikes, no fluctuations, no maintenance irregularities. Alexandra Reed hadn't gotten where she was by ignoring instincts. Right now, every instinct screamed that something was very, very wrong. She called Marcus. Get me the original contractor files for the building automation system, everything from the installation 5 years ago, and Marcus, don't tell anyone I asked. Ms. Reed, that's going to raise questions. Then raise them quietly. I need those files by end of day. She hung up and stared at the city. Somewhere below, Carter Williams was probably finishing his shift, thinking about pancakes for his daughter, maybe wondering if he'd just agreed to something that would blow up both their lives. Alexandra was wondering the same thing. The boardroom was ice cold. 12 faces turned toward her. She read the mood instantly. Anxious, impatient, ready to push. Martin Reeves stood at the head of the table, silver hair. Perfect suit probably worth more than Carter made in 6 months. Alexandra, good. We need to discuss acceleration. She took her seat. Acceleration? The technologic merger. We want to close in 3 weeks instead of 6. That's not possible. We haven't finished due diligence. Their CEO is getting cold feet, interrupted Sandra Chen, the board's vice chair. We have a 3-week window before their fiscal year closes. If we wait, they'll want to renegotiate based on new numbers. Let them. If the deal's solid, it'll hold. Martin leaned forward. Alexandra, this merger is worth $1.3 billion. It makes us a top 3 player nationwide. We've spent 18 months on this. 470 employees are counting on the expansion bonuses we promised. We can't lose it because you want extra time to count paperclips. I want time to make sure we're not lying to investors. The room went silent. Sandra's voice dropped. Excuse me. Our energy management data, I want to verify it before we sign papers that put our certifications on the line. We have certifications from 3 independent firms, Martin said. What exactly are you suggesting? I'm suggesting we do our jobs. Perfect data in an imperfect world deserves a second look. Martin's smile was thin. You're paranoid. I'm careful. There's a difference. No. He stood. There isn't. Not when your paranoia is about to cost us the deal of the decade. The board voted this morning before you arrived. 10-2. We accelerate or we kill it now and explain to shareholders why you threw away a billion-dollar opportunity because you had a feeling. Alexandra looked around the table. Most wouldn't meet her eyes. Only Sandra and David Kim looked troubled. "Who's running the verification?" she asked quietly. "I am," Martin said, "and I'm telling you everything checks out. Sign off, Alexandra, or step aside and let someone else run this company." Not quite a threat, not quite a coup, close enough that she felt her position shift like sand beneath her feet. "I'll sign off after I review the verification personally. You have 2 weeks, not 3. Martin's jaw tightened. 2 weeks. But Alexandra, stop looking for problems where they don't exist. You're going to create them instead. She left the meeting and headed for the one place she could think clearly, the stairwell between 40 and 41 where emergency exit lights cast everything amber and no one ever came. Her phone rang. Unknown number. "Reed." "Ms. Reed, it's Carter Williams. I'm in sub-basement level 4. You need to see this." Her pulse jumped. "What did you find?" "Just come. And Ms. Reed, don't tell anyone you're coming down here." The line went dead. Alexandra stood in the stairwell, her reflection ghosting back from the metal door. This was the moment. Trust a janitor she barely knew or the CFO she'd worked with for 9 years. She pushed through the door and headed for the elevator. Sub-basement 4 smelled like concrete and machine oil. Carter waited by the main electrical panel, his work light casting harsh shadows. "Show me," she said. He pointed to a junction box. "This should be routing power to floors 30 through 42. According to your monitoring system, it's running at 93% efficiency." And he pulled the panel open. Inside, 3 wires had been bypassed, routed around the meters entirely. These 12 floors aren't being monitored at all. Someone installed a loop. Makes the system think everything's fine, while actual power consumption goes wherever they want. Unmetered. Untraceable on your utility bills. Alexandra's stomach dropped. How much power? Enough to run a server farm, or a small manufacturing line. Enough to hide from the utility company, the SEC, and every audit you've ever run. Who did this? Someone with building access and electrical knowledge? Someone who knew exactly which boxes to modify without triggering alarms. Someone who did it during the original installation, so it's been running for 5 years. She pulled out her phone and took pictures. "Can you trace where the power's actually going?" "Give me until tonight, but Ms. Reed?" He looked at her directly. "Whoever did this is stealing from your company, and when you go public with Technologic's books attached to yours, you'll be legally responsible for fraud you didn't commit. The SEC doesn't care that you didn't know. They'll see falsified energy reports and assume you cooked the books to inflate efficiency numbers before the merger. Unless I find it first." "Unless you find it first. But they're not going to let you, not without a fight." Alexandra looked at the bypassed wires. Evidence of systematic deception literally built into her walls. "Then we don't tell them we're looking. You keep checking. I'll dig through files. We find who and why before that merger closes." Carter nodded slowly. "You know this could destroy everything you've built." "Yes." "You're still going to do it." "Yes." He almost smiled. "Good. Because my wife died because someone decided saving $50 on a carbon monoxide detector was worth more. More than a human life. Vivian was 29 years old. She taught 2nd grade. She volunteered at the animal shelter on weekends. She made Lily laugh so hard milk would come out her nose. And she died alone in the dark because someone somewhere decided that profit mattered more than safety." His voice cracked. "I won't watch it happen again. Not to anyone. Not on my watch." They stood in the sub-basement, CEO and janitor, while above them a billion-dollar deal ticked toward closure, and somewhere in the building, someone who'd built lies into the walls waited to see if they'd been caught. Alexandra climbed back to her office. The contractor files Marcus delivered sat on her desk. She read until her eyes burned, until numbers blurred, until she found it. The automation system had been installed by Reeves Electrical Solutions, a subsidiary company she'd never heard of, owned by Martin Reeves's brother. She sat back. The implications cascaded like dominoes. Her CFO had installed a system that let him siphon power and cook the books. He was pushing the merger through fast because once Technologic's audit team got involved, they'd find it. And when they did, she'd be the one facing federal charges for securities fraud, unless she stopped it first. Her phone buzzed. Text from Carter. "Found the endpoint. You're not going to like it." She texted back, "Tell me." "Floor 42, server room 3, the one Martin said was for backup systems." "What's really there?" Cryptocurrency mining operation running 24/7 on your power bill. Industrial scale. Based on the equipment, probably cleared 12 to 15 million in the last 3 years. All untaxed. All hidden. Alexandra closed her eyes. 15 million. Martin had embezzled $15 million, and he was about to bury it under a merger that would make forensic accounting impossible. Another text from Carter. Ms. Reed, there's more? What? Someone just accessed server room 3. Security badge belongs to Martin Reeves. He's up there right now. Her blood went cold. Get out of there. Go home to Lily. Already gone. But he knows someone's been in the electrical systems. I couldn't cover all my tracks. Did he see you? No, but he'll figure it out. There's only one person on night shift with electrical clearance. I'll handle it. Ms. Reed, be careful. Men who steal 15 million don't just walk away when they're caught. They fight, and they don't fight fair. She stared at her phone, at the picture of the bypassed wires, at the contractor files with Martin's brother's name stamped across the bottom. Then she opened her desk drawer and pulled out the flash drive her father had given her the day she became CEO. He'd pressed it into her hand, his fingers weak from chemotherapy, and said, "Keep records of everything. The moment you stop documenting is the moment they own you." She'd thought he was paranoid. Now she understood he was just experienced. Alexandra plugged in the drive and started uploading every file, every photo, every piece of evidence. She CC'd them to her personal email, to her lawyer, to a secure cloud server. Her office door opened without knocking. Martin stood in the doorway. Working late. Could say the same about you. Had to check some systems, routine maintenance. He smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. You left the board meeting pretty upset this morning. Want to talk about it? Nothing to talk about. You made your position clear. Did I? He closed the door behind him, walked to her desk, looked at her computer screen. She'd minimized the windows, but not fast enough. Alexandra. His voice went soft, dangerous. What are you doing? Due diligence, like I said I would. On the electrical systems. On everything. You don't trust me. I don't trust anyone. That's why I'm still CEO. Martin's smile vanished. You know what your problem is. You think being suspicious makes you smart. It doesn't. It makes you alone. It makes you the kind of person who drives away everyone who tries to help you until there's nobody left but a janitor who whispers pretty words in the dark. Alexandra stood. Get out of my office. I'm trying to save this company. I'm trying to save you, but you're so busy looking for conspiracies that you can't see the real threat. Which is, Remid, yourself, your paranoia, your inability to trust the people who've stood beside you for almost a decade. He leaned forward. Sign off on the merger, Alexandra. Stop this investigation before you destroy everything we've built. Or what? Or the board will remove you. They're already talking about it. Sandra's been making calls. They think you're having a breakdown, that the stress of the merger is too much, that maybe it's time for new leadership. Her heart hammered, but she kept her voice steady. Is that a threat? It's a warning. From a friend? Sign off? Let this go or lose everything. He left. Alexandra stood alone in her office, her hands shaking. She looked at the flash drive still uploading. 4 minutes remaining. Her phone rang. Carter. Ms. Reed, Lily's school just called. Someone tried to pick her up, claimed to be her uncle. We don't have any uncles. School wouldn't release her, but... Where is she now? With my mother. I'm heading there now, but Ms. Reed, whoever tried to take her, knew her name, knew her classroom, knew exactly when she'd be walking out for dismissal. Did they get a description? White male 50s expensive suit, drove a black Mercedes. Martin drove a black Mercedes. Alexandra's blood turned to ice. Carter, listen to me very carefully. Take Lily and your mother to a hotel. Pay cash. Don't use credit cards. Don't tell anyone where you're going. I'll call you in 2 hours. What's happening? Martin knows, and he just threatened your daughter. Silence on the other end. When Carter spoke again, his voice was cold, controlled. The voice of a man who'd served in the military and knew exactly what threats meant. If he touches my daughter, I will end him. I don't care about jail. I don't care about anything except keeping Lily safe. Do you understand me? I understand, and I won't let it happen. I promise you, Carter, I will not let him hurt your little girl. What are you going to do? I'm going to finish what we started. I'm going to expose him, and I'm going to make sure he never threatens another child again. She hung up and stared at her computer. The upload finished. Alexandra Reed picked up her phone and made a call she'd sworn she'd never make. FBI Economic Crimes Division. How may I direct your call? I need to report securities fraud and embezzlement. My name is Alexandra Reed. I'm the CEO of Apex Solutions, and I have evidence that my CFO has stolen $15 million and is attempting to bury it in a fraudulent merger. He just threatened a witness, an 8-year-old girl. Ma'am, I'm going to transfer you to Special Agent Morrison. Stay on the line. Alexandra looked out at the city, at the lights coming on as darkness fell, at the building where 470 employees trusted her to protect them. She'd built an empire on control, on calculated risks, on never betting more than she could afford to lose. But Carter Williams had whispered 7 words that changed everything. He'd reminded her that some things were worth more than safety, worth more than profit, worth more than empires, truth, integrity, the promise that we won't let anyone be alone, even if it cost everything. This is Special Agent Morrison. Ms. Reed, tell me everything. And she did. Special Agent Morrison arrived at Apex Solutions at 11:47 p.m. with 2 other agents and a forensic accountant who looked like she'd been pulled out of bed. Alexandra met them in the lobby, her building access card ready. Ms. Reed? Morrison shook her hand. Firm grip, no-nonsense eyes. Before we go up, I need to confirm. You understand that once we start this investigation, there's no stopping it. If we find evidence of fraud, everyone involved goes down, including you if you're complicit. I understand. And you're willing to cooperate fully. Turn over all files, all communications, submit to questioning. Everything. I just need one thing from you first. Morrison waited. There's a witness, Carter Williams, one of my maintenance staff. His 8-year-old daughter was targeted today. Someone tried to take her from school. I believe it was my CFO trying to intimidate Carter into silence. Where are they now? Safe. Hotel somewhere in the city, I don't know which one. Carter's keeping that information close. Morrison nodded to one of the other agents. Rodriguez, coordinate with Seattle PD. Get protection on the family. I want uniforms outside wherever they're staying and a patrol on the school starting tomorrow morning. On it. Alexandra felt something loosen in her chest. Thank you? Don't thank me yet. Show me what you've got. They rode the elevator to 42 in silence. Alexandra's phone buzzed. Text from Sandra Chen. Emergency board meeting called for 8 a.m. tomorrow. Martin's pushing a vote of no confidence. Call me. She typed back, can't talk. Trust me for 12 more hours. The server room door was locked. Alexandra swiped her card. Nothing happened. He changed the access codes, she said. Morrison pulled out his phone. How long to override? Building security can do it in 5 minutes, but they'll have to log the entry. Martin will know we were here. Good, I want him to know. Let him sweat. Morrison made the call. While they waited, the forensic accountant, a woman named Sarah Chen, walked the perimeter of the hallway. Miss Reed, these electrical panels. They're showing power consumption, but the readings don't match the floor space. That's what Carter found. The systems have been bypassed to hide actual usage. How long has this been running? 5 years, since the building automation system was installed. Dr. Chen whistled low. That's not just fraud. That's RICO, racketeering. If your CFO has been systematically stealing for 5 years and falsifying reports to the SEC, we're talking federal prison, 20 years minimum. The security guard arrived nervous and confused. He overrode the lock. The door clicked open. Morrison entered firsthand near his weapon. Then he stopped. Jesus Christ. The room was wall-to-wall servers. Industrial mining rigs, cooling systems, enough computing power to run a small data center. The machines hummed green lights, blinking in perfect rhythm. Dr. Chen moved between the rows, her tablet out, taking readings. This is a Bitcoin mining operation, high-end equipment, probably pulling 400 kilowatts continuous. At Seattle's commercial power rates, that's roughly $40,000 a month in electricity. That we're paying for, Alexandra said quietly. That you're paying for while he pockets the profits. Based on Bitcoin values over the last 3 years and the equipment specs here, I'd estimate total theft between $18 and $22 million. Morrison was already photographing everything. Ms. Reed, I need you to walk me through your company's energy reporting, every document you filed with the SEC for the last 5 years. They worked through the night in Alexandra's office. Documents spread across every surface. Dr. Chen built spreadsheets comparing reported energy costs versus actual utility bills versus the hidden consumption they'd discovered. At 3:15 a.m., she sat back. Got him. Morrison looked up from his laptop. Show me. Your company reported energy efficiency improvements of 23% over 5 years. You use those numbers to justify green building certifications and tax credits, but actual consumption stayed flat. The improvement was just the hidden mining operation being excluded from reports. So we claimed efficiency we didn't have, Alexandra said. Worse, you claimed tax credits based on false data. That's tax fraud on top of securities fraud. And it means the merger documents you prepared for Technologic Industries contain materially false information. Morrison closed his laptop. Ms. Reed, I need to ask you directly. Did you know about any of this before yesterday? No. Did you authorize the installation of this equipment? No. Did you benefit financially from the mining operation? No, I found out yesterday afternoon when Carter Williams showed me the bypassed electrical panels. I called you 6 hours later. Morrison studied her face for a long moment. Okay, I believe you, but here's the problem. You're the CEO. You signed off on those SEC filings. You certified those tax credit applications. Even if you didn't know, the law says you're responsible. Alexandra's stomach turned cold. So I'm going to prison. Maybe. Probably not if you cooperate fully, but your career is over, your reputation is destroyed, and you'll spend the next 5 years in depositions and courtrooms explaining how you didn't notice $20 million walking out your door. I can live with that, as long as Martin Reeves goes down and Carter Williams' daughter stays safe. Speaking of Reeves, where is he right now? Alexandra checked the building security system. His access card hasn't been used since he left at 6:30 p.m. Home address from Medina Waterfront Property. Morrison stood. Rodriguez Chen, stay here and secure the evidence. I'm getting a warrant for Reeves' arrest and asset seizure. Ms. Reed, you're coming with me. I want you on record identifying everything we find. Her phone rang. Carter. Ms. Reed, we've got a problem. What happened? 2 men just tried to enter the hotel, told the front desk they were FBI and needed to speak with a guest named Williams. Desk clerk asked for credentials. They left. Were they armed? Clerk couldn't tell, but Ms. Reed, nobody except you and my mother knows we're here, which means someone's tracking us. My phone, maybe. Or my mother's. Morrison was already signaling Rodriguez. Where are you? Carter hesitated. Carter, it's okay. I'm with FBI Special Agent Morrison. He's assigned protection to you and Lily, but he needs to know where you are to send officers. Another pause. Sheraton, downtown, room 847. Morrison spoke into his radio. Dispatch, this is Morrison. I need immediate response to the Sheraton downtown room 847. Possible attempt to harm a federal witness. Suspect is armed and dangerous. Copy that. Units are rolling. To Carter, lock your door. Don't open it for anyone except uniformed Seattle PD. Ask for badge numbers through the door and call 911 to verify them before you let anyone in. Understood. Ms. Reed, tell me the truth. Is Lily safe? Alexandra looked at Morrison. He nodded. Yes, Carter, I promise you. The FBI is protecting her now. Martin can't touch her. What about you? If he's sending people after us, he'll come after you next. I'm with Agent Morrison. I'm safe. You better be, because Lily keeps asking about the nice lady who gave her daddy a job. I told her you're trying to help people. Don't make me a liar. He hung up. Morrison was watching her. You care about him. He's a good man who deserves better than this. No, I mean you actually care. Not just as an employee, as a person. Alexandra met his eyes. Is that relevant to your investigation? No, just making an observation. Most CEOs I deal with don't know their janitors' names. You're putting your career on the line for his kid. That says something. But it says I finally started paying attention to the right things. They drove to Medina in Morrison's government sedan. The sky was starting to lighten that pale gray before dawn that makes everything look exhausted. Martin's house sat behind gates on 2 acres of waterfront. Lights were on inside. He's home, Morrison said. Or someone is. Rodriguez's voice came through the radio. Morrison, we've got a problem. Seattle PD just reported a black Mercedes abandoned near the Sheraton, registered to Martin Reeves. Engine still warm. Son of a bitch, he was there personally. Morrison grabbed his radio. All unit suspect is mobile and dangerous. Consider him armed. Do not approach alone. Alexandra's phone rang. Unknown number. Don't answer it, Morrison said. She answered anyway. Reed? Alexandra. Martin's voice was calm. Too calm. I assume by now you've found my little operation? The FBI found it. I just showed them where to look. Ah, so you've chosen prison over pragmatism. Disappointing. Where are you, Martin? Somewhere you'll never find me. But don't worry, I'm not going to hurt your janitor or his daughter. That was just leverage. A reminder of what happens when people don't cooperate. Since you've already involved the authorities, there's no point. Then why are you calling? To give you a chance. One last chance to fix this before it destroys both of us. I'm listening. Morrison was shaking his head violently. She ignored him. The mining operation was a side project, Martin said. Unauthorized, yes, but the money never left the company. I was planning to use it to cover budget shortfalls from the Technologic merger, to make sure we hit our numbers and keep everyone employed. You were stealing Martin. I was protecting 470 jobs. Your jobs. Our people. The merger is going to cost more than we projected. I was building a cushion so we wouldn't have to do layoffs. By committing fraud. By being practical. But now you've brought in the FBI and everything falls apart. The merger dies. The company dies. Everyone loses their jobs anyway. Was it worth it, Alexandra? Was your moral high ground worth destroying 470 families? She closed her eyes. Where are you? That doesn't matter. What matters is what happens next. You can tell the FBI this was all a misunderstanding, that you panicked and called them before you had all the facts, that after further investigation you realized the mining operation was an approved R&D project that was improperly documented. They won't believe that. They will if you sell it. You're Alexandra Reed. You built a billion-dollar company from nothing. If you tell them you made a mistake, they'll listen. Call it CEO paranoia. Call it stress from the merger. Hell, call it a nervous breakdown if you have to. But kill this investigation before it kills the company. Finny. Morrison was recording the conversation, now his phone pressed close to hers. And if I don't, Alexandra asked. Then I released documents showing you knew about the mining operation from the beginning. Emails with your forged signature. Memos you supposedly wrote approving the project. By the time forensic accountants prove they're fake, your reputation will be destroyed beyond recovery. You'll spend 5 years in court and another 10 trying to rebuild your name. You'd frame me. I'd protect myself, just like you're doing right now. We all make choices, Alexandra. Make the smart one. The line went dead. Morrison stopped recording. Did you get all that? Every word. It's admissible as evidence of obstruction and witness intimidation. Good, because that man just threatened a federal witness and attempted to coerce you into lying to investigators. That's 5 more years on his sentence. He said he has forged documents that make it look like I approved everything. Probably does. We'll find them. And when we do, they'll become evidence against him, not you. Forging a CEO's signature is serious business. Alexandra stared at Martin's house. He's not there, is he? No, he's running, but he won't get far. We've already frozen his accounts and flagged his passport. He tries to leave the country, we'll grab him at the airport. Rodriguez's voice crackled through the radio again. Morrison, we've got him. King County Sheriff spotted the Mercedes heading south on I-5. They're in pursuit. Morrison floored the accelerator. Where? Southbound near Federal Way. Speed approximately 90 miles per hour. Suspect is refusing to stop. They merged onto the highway lights and siren cutting through early morning traffic. Alexandra gripped the door handle as Morrison wove between cars. Her phone rang again. Carter. Ms. Reed, turn on the news. I'm a little busy right now. Turn it on, Channel 7. They're saying there's a high-speed chase involving an Apex Solutions executive. They're saying it's connected to fraud allegations. They're showing your picture. Alexandra's heart stopped. What? Someone leaked it. The story's everywhere. Twitter news sites, everything. They're calling it the biggest corporate fraud case since Enron. Morrison swore. Someone in my office leaked. Had to be. We only opened the investigation 8 hours ago. Can you stop it? Alexandra asked. No. Once it's out, it's out. Best we can do is get ahead of it with the truth. Rodriguez came back on the radio. Suspect is approaching the Tacoma city limits. Sheriff is requesting backup. Wait, he's pulling over. Repeat suspect vehicle is stopping on the shoulder. Morrison slowed but kept the lights running. Where exactly? Puck. Mile marker 132, just before the Tacoma Mall exit. They arrived 6 minutes later. 4 police cruisers had boxed in Martin's Mercedes. Officers crouched behind open doors, weapons drawn. Martin sat in the driver's seat, hands visible on the steering wheel, staring straight ahead. Morrison approached carefully. Martin Reeves, I'm Special Agent Morrison with the FBI. Step out of the vehicle slowly. Keep your hands where I can see them. Martin didn't move. Mr. Reeves, step out of the vehicle now. The driver's door opened. Martin emerged still in his expensive suit from yesterday, but his hair was disheveled, his tie loosened. He looked like a man who'd been running all night and finally run out of road. "I'm unarmed," he said. "I just want to talk." "You can talk at the federal building. Turn around, hands behind your back." As the handcuffs clicked shut, Martin looked past Morrison to where Alexandra stood beside the sedan. "You destroyed everything," he said. 470 people, their jobs, their families, all gone because you couldn't let it go. "No," Alexandra said, walking forward. "You destroyed it. The moment you decided to steal instead of lead. The moment you thought profit mattered more than truth." "Truth?" Martin laughed bitter. "You're going to lecture me about truth. You who fired 3 executives last year for missing their numbers by 2%. You who told Sandra Chen that compassion was a luxury we couldn't afford. You built this company on ruthless decisions, Alexandra. Don't pretend you grew a conscience overnight because some janitor whispered pretty words in the dark." Alexandra stopped 3 feet from him. "You're right. I built this company on ruthless decisions. And the most ruthless decision I ever made was trusting you. That ends today." Morrison put Martin in the back of a police cruiser. "We'll process him at the federal building. Ms. Reed, I'll need you there too. Full statement timeline of everything." "What about the merger?" "Dead. Technologic's lawyers will kill it the moment this hits the news, which it already has." Alexandra pulled out her phone. 17 missed calls, 43 unread texts, email inbox exploding. The top email was from Sandra Chen, sent 4 minutes ago. "Emergency board vote at 8 a.m. moved up to 7 a.m. They're voting to remove you as CEO. I'm sorry, I tried." It was 6:47 a.m. "I need to get to my office," Alexandra said. "You've got a board meeting." "How did you—" "I'm FBI. I read email." Morrison looked at her. "You want my advice? Don't go. Let them vote. Let them remove you. You cooperate with this investigation, you'll probably avoid prison. You walk into that boardroom, you're walking into a firing squad." "Those 470 people," Martin mentioned, "they're about to lose their jobs because I failed to catch this fraud earlier. The least I can do is face them before I go." "You didn't fail. He was good at hiding it." "I was the CEO. It was my job to know, my job to protect them." Alexandra met his eyes. "I'm going to that meeting." Morrison sighed. "Then I'm coming with you, as a witness to your cooperation, if nothing else." They made it back to Apex Solutions at 7:11 a.m. The lobby was packed with reporters, cameras shouting questions as Alexandra pushed through. "Ms. Reed, is it true you embezzled $20 million? Did you know about the fraud? Is the merger dead? Are you stepping down?" Morrison and 2 other agents cleared a path to the elevators. They rode up in silence. The boardroom was full, all 12 members present, plus lawyers, plus Martin's secretary, who looked like she'd been crying. Everyone turned when Alexandra entered. Sandra Chen stood. "Alexandra, you shouldn't be here." "I'm still CEO until you vote otherwise. I have a right to address this board before you make your decision." "There's nothing to discuss," said David Kim, his voice flat. "The fraud is public. The merger is dead. The company's stock is in free fall. You're done." "I know." That stopped them. Alexandra walked to the head of the table. Her seat. She didn't sit. "I came here to tell you the truth," she said. "Martin Reeves has been arrested by the FBI for securities fraud, tax fraud, and embezzlement. Over the last 5 years, he installed unauthorized cryptocurrency mining equipment and stole between $18 and $22 million from this company. He falsified our energy reports to hide the theft and attempted to bury the evidence in the Technologic merger." Silence. "I didn't know until yesterday afternoon. A member of our maintenance staff discovered the fraud during a safety inspection I personally requested. I reported it to the FBI within 6 hours. Martin is currently in custody. The mining operation has been seized as evidence. The money is gone." "Who found it?" Sandra asked quietly. "Carter Williams, night janitor, Navy veteran. Good man who deserves better than he got from any of us." "And you expect us to believe you knew nothing?" David's voice was hard. "You're the CEO. You signed off on every SEC filing for 5 years." "I did, which makes me legally responsible even though I didn't know. I understand that. I'm not asking you to keep me on. I'm asking you to protect the people who work here, the 470 employees who did nothing wrong." "How?" Sandra asked. "The merger is dead. Our stock is collapsing. We're going to have to do massive layoffs just to survive the legal costs." Morrison stepped forward. "If I may, I'm Special Agent Morrison with the FBI. Ms. Reed has cooperated fully with our investigation. She turned over evidence, provided testimony, and helped us arrest the perpetrator within 24 hours of discovering the fraud. That level of cooperation is going to matter in court." It doesn't matter to our investors, David said. No, but it matters to the Department of Justice. It matters to the SEC. And it's going to matter to any company considering acquisition or partnership going forward. Apex Solutions was a victim of internal fraud. That's very different from a company that committed fraud knowingly. Sandra looked at Alexandra. What do you want from us? I want you to find a new CEO, someone clean, someone with credibility. I want you to be honest with employees about what happened. And I want you to establish the Vivian Williams Safety Fund in honor of Carter's late wife. Use it to provide free safety equipment to families who can't afford it. Smoke detectors, carbon monoxide alarms, fire extinguishers. Make something good come from this disaster. That's going to cost money we don't have, David said. Then find it. Cut executive bonuses. Cut my severance. I don't care. Just do something that proves this company values people more than profit. She turned to leave. Alexandra. Sandra's voice stopped her. For what it's worth, I believe you. I don't think you knew. Thank you, but it doesn't change anything. I should have known. That's on me. Alexandra walked out of the boardroom for the last time. Morrison followed her to the elevators. That took guts, he said. That was me facing what I helped create. A company so focused on numbers that we forgot to watch the people counting them. Her phone rang. Carter. Ms. Reed, I saw the news. Are you okay? I'm fine. How's Lily? Scared. Confused. Asking questions I don't know how to answer. But she's safe. That's what matters. Carter, I need to tell you something. I'm probably going to be charged with securities fraud. Even though I didn't know about the theft, I signed the reports. I'm legally responsible. Silence on the other end. I'm sorry, she continued. You trusted me to fix this, and I did, but it cost me everything. I just wanted you to know before you heard it from someone else. Ms. Reed, Alexandra, you gave me a chance when nobody else would. You believed me when I showed you the fraud, and you called the FBI even though you knew it would destroy your career. That's not failure. That's integrity. Her throat tightened. I'm not sure everyone would see it that way. Vivian would have. My wife believed that doing the right thing mattered more than doing the easy thing. She taught second grade for 9 years, making $32,000 a year because she believed in those kids. She could have made more money doing something else, but she chose to matter instead. She sounds like an extraordinary person. She was, and you remind me of her. You could have buried this fraud, pushed through the merger, kept your job, but you chose truth. Truth instead. That's extraordinary, too. Alexandra closed her eyes, standing in the empty hallway outside the boardroom where she'd just been effectively fired. Thank you, Carter. That means more than you know. What happens now? Now I cooperate with the FBI. I testify against Martin, and I try to rebuild something resembling a life from the pieces I've got left. You'll do it. I know you will, because people who choose integrity don't stay down forever. They get back up. They keep going, just like Vivian did, just like I did after she died, just like you're going to do right now. The elevator arrived. Morrison held the door. I have to go, Alexandra said. But Carter, thank you for everything, for being honest, for being brave, for reminding me what matters. Take care of yourself, Ms. Reed, and when you're ready, Lily wants to meet you. She made you a drawing. It's a picture of a lady with a cape. She says you're a superhero who catches bad guys. Alexandra laughed, surprised by the sound. I'm not sure I deserve that. You do. Trust me on this one. She hung up and stepped into the elevator. Morrison pressed the button for the lobby. Where to now? He asked. FBI field office. I'll give my complete statement, turn over everything I have, and start the process of salvaging what's left of my reputation. It's going to be a long road. Yes, but at least it's an honest one. The elevator doors opened. The lobby was still packed with reporters, but this time Alexandra didn't try to hide. She walked straight through, head up Morrison at her side. The questions came like machine gun fire. Ms. Reed, did you steal the money? No, Martin Reeves stole it. I reported him to the FBI. Are you resigning? The board will make that decision, but I take full responsibility for failing to catch the fraud sooner. What do you say to employees who are losing their jobs? Alexandra stopped, looked directly at the camera. I say I'm sorry. I'm sorry I didn't protect you better. I'm sorry this happened on my watch. And I'm sorry that my failure to see what was happening cost you your security. But I promise you this, I will testify, I will cooperate, and I will make sure the person responsible faces justice. That's all I can do now. That's all I have left to give. She walked out into the morning light. The city was waking up oblivious to the implosion happening inside One Glass Tower. People heading to work, to coffee, to their ordinary lives. Morrison's sedan waited at the curb. Ready? As I'll ever be. They drove to the federal building in silence. When they arrived, Morrison walked her past security through metal detectors up to a conference room where 3 other agents and 2 federal prosecutors waited. Ms. Reed, said the lead prosecutor, a woman in her 50s with steel gray hair. I'm Assistant U.S. Attorney Patricia Holloway. Thank you for coming in voluntarily. Before we begin, I want to make clear that you have the right to an attorney. I understand. I'm waiving that right for now. I want to tell you everything. Very well. Let's start at the beginning. When did you first become aware of the fraudulent activity? And Alexandra told them. Everything. The test that wasn't really a test. Carter's whisper. The jacket. The electrical panels. The mining operation. Martin's threats. The attempted kidnapping of an 8-year-old girl. She talked for 3 hours. They recorded every word. When she finished, Holloway sat back. Ms. Reed, based on your testimony and the evidence Agent Morrison collected, we believe we have a strong case against Martin Reeves. However, I need to be direct with you about your own exposure. I understand. You signed SEC filings that contained false information. Even though you didn't know the information was false, the law holds CEOs strictly liable. We could charge you with securities fraud. Alexandra's hands were steady. Will you? That depends. If you continue to cooperate fully, if you testify against Reeves, and if our forensic analysis confirms you receive no financial benefit from the scheme, then no. We'll classify you as a victim rather than a perpetrator, but that's contingent on your ongoing cooperation. You have it. Whatever you need. Good, because this case is going to trial, and Martin Reeves has excellent lawyers. They're going to try to shift blame to you. They're going to claim you knew all along, and you're only cooperating now to save yourself. You need to be prepared for that. I am. Holloway studied her. You're very calm for someone who just lost everything. I didn't lose everything. I lost a job, a reputation, probably most of my savings in legal fees. But I kept my integrity, and I kept my promise to a man who trusted me when he had no reason to. That's not nothing. Morrison smiled slightly. Told you she was different. They finished at 2:30 p.m. Alexandra walked out of the federal building into afternoon sunshine. Her phone had died hours ago. She had no car, no driver, no assistant to call for pickup. For the first time in 17 years, she was completely alone. She started walking. Through downtown Seattle, past Pike Place Market, down toward the waterfront. Her feet hurt in her designer heels. Her suit was wrinkled from 18 hours of wear. She probably looked like a corporate refugee. She felt free. At a coffee shop near the ferry terminal, she borrowed a charger and powered up her phone. 163 notifications. She ignored all of them except one. Text from Sandra Chen sent 30 minutes ago. Board voted 11-1 to accept your resignation. David voted against. I'm sorry. Your severance will be minimal due to the circumstances, but we're honoring your request for the Vivian Williams Safety Fund. $500, $1,000 annual budget. It's not much, but it's something. Thank you for your service, Alexandra. And thank you for doing the right thing. Alexandra typed back, thank you for believing me. Take care of our people. She ordered black coffee and sat by the window watching ferries cross Elliott Bay. Her phone rang, her sister calling for the first time in 4 years. Hello, Jennifer. Alex, I saw the news. Are you okay? Honestly, I don't know yet. Do you need help? Money, a place to stay, anything. I might. Can I call you tomorrow? Of course, Alex, I'm proud of you. What you did took courage. Alexandra's eyes burned. Thank you. That means everything. She hung up and stared at her reflection in the window. Alexandra Reed, former CEO, current federal witness, future ? And for the first time in longer than she could remember, she felt like herself. Her phone buzzed one more time. Unknown number. Against her better judgment, she answered. Reed? Ms. Reed, it's me, Lily. Alexandra sat up straight. Carter's daughter. Lily, hi? Is your dad there? He's in the bathroom. I took his phone because I wanted to talk to you. Are you really okay? Daddy said you lost your job because you helped us. I'm okay, sweetheart, and I didn't help you because of my job. I helped you because it was the right thing to do. That's what Daddy said. He said you're like my mom. She always did the right thing, even when it was hard. Alexandra's throat closed. Your mom sounds like she was wonderful. She was. I miss her every day. But Daddy says missing people means we loved them, and love doesn't stop just because someone's gone. Your dad is a very smart man. I made you a picture. Do you want me to send it? I would love that. Okay, it's you in a superhero cape catching the bad guy. Daddy says you're a hero, are you? Alexandra looked out at the water at the city she'd helped build and just walked away from at the future she couldn't see but knew was waiting. No, honey, I'm not a hero. I'm just someone who finally started paying attention to the right things, but thank you for thinking so. Okay, I gotta go. Daddy's coming back. Bye, Ms. Reed. The line went dead. Alexandra sat in the coffee shop as afternoon faded toward evening, and she finally understood what Carter had been trying to tell her that night in the tower. We save people not by being perfect, but by being present. Not by having all the answers, but by showing up when it matters. Not by building empires, but by keeping promises. Even the small ones. Even when it costs everything. Especially then. 3 days later, Alexandra sat in her sister's spare bedroom in Ballard, surrounded by moving boxes she hadn't unpacked and legal documents she couldn't stop reading. Her phone rang at 6:47 a.m. Special Agent Morrison. Ms. Reed, we have a problem. She was instantly awake. What happened? Martin Reeves made bail 2 hours ago, posted by his brother using the electrical company as collateral. He's out. Alexandra's blood went cold. How is that possible? He's a flight risk. He tried to run. His lawyers argued he pulled over voluntarily, which technically he did. Judge set bail at $5 million. Brother posted it immediately. Martin walked out of King County Jail at 5:15 this morning. Where is he now? We don't know. He's wearing an ankle monitor, but he hasn't gone home. Last ping was near Green Lake 20 minutes ago, then the signal died. He cut it off. Probably. We've got units looking for him, but Ms. Reed, I'm going to be direct. If I were him and I knew my case was collapsing, I'd be tying up loose ends. You and Carter Williams are the two people who can bury him in court. You think he's coming after us? I think you need protection until we find him. Where are you right now? My sister's house, Ballard neighborhood. Stay there, lock the doors. I'm sending 2 agents to your location. Don't open the door for anyone except law enforcement and verify their credentials before you let them in. What about Carter and Lily? Already taken care of. Seattle PD has units outside their apartment building and Lily's school. They're covered. Alexandra hung up and immediately called Carter. It went to voicemail. She tried again. Still voicemail. Her hands started shaking. She dialed Morrison back. Carter's not answering. When did you last talk to him? Yesterday afternoon. He was taking Lily to the library. Let me check with the protection detail. She heard Morrison talking to someone in the background, his voice sharp. Then he came back on. Ms. Reed, the officer assigned to Carter's building, says he left at 5:30 this morning. Alone. Said he was going to work. Work? He doesn't have work anymore. Apex Solutions put all non-essential staff on leave pending the investigation. Then where the hell is he going at 5:30 in the morning? Alexandra's mind raced. Carter was methodical, careful, protective. He wouldn't leave Lily unless it was urgent, unless someone was in danger, unless he thought he could stop Martin himself. Morrison Carter was a Navy electrician. He knows that building better than anyone. If Martin's tying up loose ends, he's not just coming after witnesses, he's destroying evidence. The mining equipment is already in FBI custody. Not the equipment, the building itself, the electrical systems, the bypass circuits, anything that proves how long the fraud was running. If Martin burns down those sub-basements, your case gets a lot harder to prove. Morrison swore. I'm sending units to Apex Solutions right now. Stay on the line. Alexandra heard radio chatter, Morrison barking orders. Her sister Jennifer appeared in the doorway, concerned. What's happening? The man I testified against made bail. He's missing. And I think Carter's walking into a trap. Jennifer grabbed her car keys. Then let's go. Morrison said to stay here. Morrison's not your boss anymore. You want to sit here while someone gets hurt, or do you want to do something about it? Alexandra looked at her younger sister at the determination in her eyes that she'd somehow forgotten existed and made a decision. Let's go. They made it to downtown Seattle in 11 minutes, Jennifer driving like she'd missed her calling as a race car driver. Alexandra kept trying Carter's phone. No answer. Morrison called back. Where are you? On our way to Apex Solutions. Damn it, Alexandra, I told you to stay put. And I'm telling you Carter's in that building. I know it. How? Because he promised his wife at her grave that he'd never let another safety system fail. If Martin's destroying evidence, Carter's trying to stop him. It's who he is. Silence. Then Morrison said quietly, Units are 3 minutes out. Don't go inside until they arrive. Understood. They pulled up to Apex Solutions at 7:23 a.m. The lobby was dark. Alexandra's access card still worked. She swiped it. We're waiting for the FBI, Jennifer said. You're waiting. I'm going in. Alex? That man has an 8-year-old daughter who already lost her mother. I won't let her lose her father too, not when I can stop it. She pushed through the doors before Jennifer could argue. The lobby echoed with her footsteps. Emergency lighting cast everything in that sickly green glow that made shadows look alive. The elevator was locked down. She headed for the stairs. 42 floors. Her heels clicked on concrete, each step taking her deeper into the building she'd once commanded and now felt like a stranger in. At sub-basement 3, she heard voices. Carter's voice calm but firm. You don't want to do this, Martin. Don't I? You cost me everything. My career, my freedom, my future. Because you couldn't mind your own business. I was doing my job. Your job is cleaning toilets, not playing detective. Alexandra eased open the stairwell door. Sub-basement 3 was the mechanical level, all pipes and machinery and shadows. She could see them 30 feet away near the main electrical junction. Martin held something in his hand. Too dark to tell what. Your job was building a company, Carter said. Instead, you built a crime scene. That's on you, not me. Profound words from a janitor. Tell me, does your daughter know her father's the reason 400 people lost their jobs? My daughter knows her father did the right thing. That's what her mother would have wanted. Her mother's dead because you were too cheap to buy a working smoke detector. The words hung in the air like poison. Alexandra saw Carter's shoulders tense, saw his hands curl into fists. You don't talk about my wife. Why not? It's true, isn't it? You were deployed playing hero overseas while she died alone because you forgot to change batteries. Some hero. Carter moved forward. Martin raised his hand, and Alexandra saw it clearly now. A gun. Don't, Martin said. Carter stopped. You know what's funny? Martin continued. I actually felt bad for you. The sad janitor with the dead wife and the traumatized kid. I even considered giving you a bonus last Christmas. But then you had to be righteous. Had to be the good guy. Had to ruin everything. I didn't ruin anything. You did that yourself the moment you decided stealing was easier than leading. Leading? You think leadership is about morality. It's about results. About making hard choices that weak people don't have the stomach for. I saved this company with that mining operation. I created the cushion we needed for the merger. I protected jobs. You stole $20 million. I invested $20 million in cryptocurrency that would have eventually been returned to company coffers. It was a short-term loan from myself to myself. Nobody was hurt. Except the 470 people who lost their jobs when your fraud collapsed the merger. Except the investors who lost millions when the stock crashed. Except your own reputation, your family, everyone who trusted you. Martin laughed harsh. Trust? You sound like Alexandra. She gave me the same speech before she destroyed both our lives. Where is she now? Probably hiding somewhere, realizing too late that integrity doesn't pay the bills. She's right behind you, Alexandra said, stepping out of the shadows. Martin spun gun swinging toward her. Carter lunged forward, grabbing Martin's wrist. The gun discharged, deafening in the enclosed space. The bullet sparked off a pipe. They struggled. Martin was bigger, but Carter was trained. He twisted Martin's arm, forced him toward the wall. The gun clattered to the floor. Alexandra kicked it away, sent it skittering under machinery where neither man could reach it. Carter had Martin pinned now face first against concrete arm wrenched behind his back. Stay down. Martin was breathing hard, trapped. This doesn't change anything. The evidence is destroyed. I made sure of it before I came here. What evidence? Alexandra asked. The bypass circuits, the server logs, the financial records linking the mining operation to my accounts, all gone. Wiped. Without them, you can prove I installed mining equipment, but you can't prove how long it ran or how much I took. Reasonable doubt? My lawyers will eat the FBI alive. Carter looked at Alexandra. She saw the question in his eyes. She pulled out her phone and called Morrison. We've got him. Sub-basement 3. Carter's holding him down, but we need officers here now. 2 minutes. Is anyone hurt? No, but Morrison Martin says he destroyed the evidence. The bypass circuits and server logs. Son of a bitch, how much did he destroy? Martin laughed from the floor. All of it. Every wire, every log, every trace. Good luck proving anything now. Carter's voice was quiet. He didn't destroy all of it. Everyone looked at him. I made copies, Carter said. Before I reported to Ms. Reed, I documented everything. Photographed every bypass circuit, every server rack, every piece of equipment. Downloaded 3 years of power consumption logs from the building management system. Backed it all up to a secure drive. Martin went rigid. You're blinking. I'm not. Navy taught me to document everything. CYA, cover your ass. I learned that lesson in the Gulf when an officer tried to blame our unit for a power failure we didn't cause. Had photos proving the failure happened before we arrived. Saved our careers. Where's the drive, Alexandra asked. Safe deposit box, Bank of America on 4th Avenue. I put it there the day after I found the fraud before I told you. Figured if someone tried to destroy evidence, we'd need a backup. Martin's face drained of color. No, you're lying. Box number 2847. Keys in my apartment taped under Lily's bookshelf. The one with all her mother's books. Ms. Reed knows my address from my HR file. Why are you telling us this now? Alexandra asked. Carter met her eyes. Because Martin needs to know that destroying evidence doesn't protect him. It just proves he knew he was guilty. And because Lily deserves to grow up knowing her father didn't let the bad guy win. Footsteps thundered down the stairs. Morrison burst through the door, 3 other agents behind him, weapons drawn. Federal agents, nobody move. He's secure, Carter said, not releasing his grip on Martin. But you should probably take over before I do something I regret. Morrison nodded to the other agents. They moved in, lifting Martin to his feet, replacing Carter's grip with handcuffs. Martin stared at Carter with pure hatred. You self-righteous bastard! You act like you're better than me, but you're not. You're just a janitor with delusions of heroism. In 5 years, nobody will remember your name. Good, Carter said. I don't need people to remember me. I just need my daughter to respect me. And she will, because I did the right thing even when it was hard. That's worth more than anything you've ever built. Morrison read Martin his rights while the other agents led him away. As they passed Alexandra, Martin stopped. This is your fault, he said. All of it. If you'd just trusted me, none of this would have happened. You're right, Alexandra said. It is my fault. I trusted you for 9 years. I should have been watching closer. I should have questioned the perfect numbers. I should have listened to my instincts instead of my CFO. That's on me, Martin. But what you did, that's on you. And you'll have 20 years in federal prison to think about the difference. They took him upstairs. Morrison stayed behind with Alexandra and Carter. Mr. Williams, that was either very brave or very stupid. Probably both, Carter admitted. But I couldn't let him destroy evidence, not after everything we went through to expose him. You should have called me. I did. Left 3 messages. You didn't call back. Morrison checked his phone and grimaced. Battery died. Damn it, you still should have waited. If I'd waited, he would have destroyed the circuits and been gone before you arrived. This way we caught him in the act. Attempted destruction of evidence assault with a deadly weapon violation of bail conditions. That's 3 more felonies. And if he'd shot you, then at least I'd have died doing something that mattered. That's more than most people get. Morrison looked at Alexandra. You 2 are going to give me an ulcer. Sorry, she said, but he's right. We couldn't let Martin win. Nobody's winning here. 400 people are still out of work. A billion-dollar company is on life support, and the legal battles are going to drag on for years. But the truth is out, Carter said. The fraud is exposed. The guilty party is in custody. That counts for something. Morrison sighed. Yeah, it does. Come on. I need statements from both of you, again. They rode the elevator up in silence. When the doors opened on the lobby, Jennifer was there, pacing phone pressed to her ear. She saw Alexandra and rushed over. Thank God, I called 911. They said FBI was handling it. What happened? We caught him. It's over. Jennifer pulled her into a hug. You scared me. Don't do that again. I'll try. They gave their statements in Alexandra's former office, which felt surreal and sad at the same time. Someone had already started packing up her personal items. Photos, awards, the coffee mug her father had given her that said, Best Boss Ever in crooked handwriting. Carter noticed her staring at the boxes. You okay? I built this company from nothing. Spent 17 years of my life making it what it is. And now I'm cleaning out my desk like a fired intern. You're not fired. You resigned. Semantics. No, accuracy. You chose to leave because staying would have meant compromising your integrity. That's not failure. That's courage. Morrison finished typing. Okay, I've got what I need. Mr. Williams about that safe deposit box. I'll get you the key this afternoon. Lily's in school until 3. I'm not pulling her out early unless it's an emergency. Fair enough. I'll meet you at the bank at 3:30. Carter stood. Ms. Reed, can I talk to you privately for a minute? Alexandra looked at Morrison, who nodded and stepped out. Jennifer followed as come, leaving them alone in the office. I wanted to thank you, Carter said, for everything, for believing me when I showed you the fraud, For calling the FBI even though it cost you your career. For showing up this morning even though you didn't have to. I owed you that much. No, you didn't owe me anything, but you did it anyway, and that says everything about who you are. Alexandra felt her throat tighten. I'm not the person you think I am, Carter. I'm the CEO who let $20 million walk out the door, who signed false reports for 5 years, who built a company culture so focused on numbers that nobody felt safe reporting problems. You're also the person who fixed it the moment you knew, who risked everything to expose the truth, who faced a man with a gun to protect evidence. That's the person I think you are. That's the person Lily drew wearing a cape. She sent me the picture. It's on my phone. I look at it when I need to remember why any of this mattered. Carter smiled. She asked me this morning if you were coming to her birthday party next week. I told her you probably couldn't because you were busy. She said busy people are the ones who need cake the most. Alexandra laughed, surprised by the sound. She's a wise kid. She gets it from her mother. Vivian always said the most important people in any room were the ones nobody noticed. The janitors, the cafeteria workers, the security guards. She made a point of learning their names, asking about their families. She said everyone matters equally, and the moment you forget, that is the moment you stop being human. I forgot that, Alexandra said quietly. For a long time. I'm sorry. Don't be sorry. Just remember it going forward. That's all anyone can do. Morrison knocked on the doorframe. Hate to interrupt, but we need to get moving. Press is starting to gather outside. Carter headed for the door, then stopped. Ms. Reed, the party's next Saturday, 2 p.m. at Golden Gardens Park. Lily would love to see you there. No pressure, but you should know you're invited. He left before she could answer. Jennifer came back in. He's a good man. Yes, he is. So what now? Now. Alexandra looked around, her paper on her former office one last time. Now I figure out who I am when I'm not a CEO, and I go to a birthday party for an 8-year-old I barely know, but who somehow sees me better than I see myself. They walked out through the lobby past the reporters shouting questions into the morning that had somehow become afternoon. Alexandra's phone rang. Assistant U.S. Attorney Holloway. Ms. Reed, I'm calling with an update based on the evidence Mr. Williams secured and the additional charges from this morning's incident. Martin Reeves's lawyers have approached us about a plea deal. Alexandra's heart jumped. What kind of deal? He pleads guilty to all charges, cooperates fully with asset recovery, and accepts a 30-year sentence in exchange for avoiding trial. He serves minimum 20 years before parole eligibility. That's not enough. He stole $20 million and tried to frame me. It's also guaranteed. We go to trial, juries are unpredictable. Rich white-collar criminals have walked on weaker cases than this. A plea deal means justice is certain. Alexandra closed her eyes. What do you recommend? Take it. 30 years is effectively a life sentence for a man his age. He'll be 76 when he's eligible for parole, and it means you don't have to spend 2 years in depositions and testimony. You can move on with your life. What about the victims, the employees who lost their jobs? We're working with Apex Solutions on a victim compensation fund. Martin's assets will be seized and liquidated. Probably recover 10 to 12 million. Not everything, but something. And me. You're clear. No charges. The evidence proves you had no knowledge of the fraud and took immediate action once you discovered it. Your reputation will take time to rebuild, but legally, you're in the clear. Alexandra felt something release in her chest. Thank you. Thank Mr. Williams. His documentation made the case airtight. Without it, this would have been much harder. She hung up and looked at Jennifer. It's over. Martin's taking a plea deal. 30 years. Jennifer hugged her. Good. Now you can start rebuilding. I don't even know where to start. Start with that birthday party. Start with remembering what matters. The rest will come. They drove back to Jennifer's house. Alexandra spent the afternoon on her laptop, updating her resume, reaching out to former colleagues, trying to figure out what a disgraced CEO did for a second act. Around 5 p.m. her phone rang. Sandra Chen. Alexandra, I heard about this morning. Are you okay? I'm fine. Carter did most of the work. The board met this afternoon. We want to offer you something. Sandra, I appreciate it, but I can't come back. Even if you'd have me, my presence would hurt the company. Not as CEO, as an advisor. Independent consultant on corporate ethics and fraud prevention. 20 hours a month, decent retainer. You help us rebuild our culture, train new leadership, make sure this never happens again. Alexandra sat up. Why would you offer me that? Because you're the only person who's proven they'll tell us the truth even when it destroys them. That's exactly who we need right now. Think about it. No pressure. But Alex, you built something good here once. Help us build it again. I'll think about it. Good. And Alex, the Vivian Williams Safety Fund is official. First board meeting approved $500,000 annually. Carter's been invited to serve on the advisory committee. He said yes. Alexandra smiled. Of course he did. She hung up and stared at her laptop. Consultant, advisor. It wasn't CEO, but it was something. A chance to matter without the empire. A chance to build. With integrity from the foundation up. The next 6 days passed in a blur of FBI interviews, lawyer consultations, and media requests she politely declined. On Friday evening, she drove to Target and bought birthday presents for an 8-year-old she'd never actually met. A book about brave women in history. A art set because Carter mentioned Lily loved drawing. A card that took 20 minutes to write because how do you explain to a child why their father almost died? Protecting people he barely knew, Saturday morning she stood in front of her mirror trying to decide what to wear to a child's birthday party when you used to run board meetings in designer suits. She settled on jeans and a simple blouse. Normal. Human. Jennifer drove her to Golden Gardens Park. They arrived at 1:55 p.m. The party was in full swing, balloons tied to picnic tables, kids running around with cake-smeared faces, adults chatting in small clusters. Carter saw her first. He was grilling hot dogs, spatula in hand, looking more relaxed than she'd ever seen him. He waved her over. You came. I was invited, and someone told me busy people need cake the most. He laughed. Lily's going to lose her mind. She's been asking about you all week. Come on. He led her to a picnic table where a small girl with Carter's eyes and her mother's smile was opening presents. Lily looked up, saw Alexandra, and gasped. You're here. Daddy said you might be too busy. I'm never too busy for birthday cake. Happy birthday, Lily. Lily launched herself at Alexandra, hugging her with the unself-conscious enthusiasm only 8-year-olds possessed. Thank you for catching the bad guy. Daddy says you're a hero even though you don't wear a cape. Your dad's the real hero. He's the one who found the bad stuff. He says you believed him when nobody else would. That makes you a hero too. Alexandra knelt down to Lily's eye level. Your dad talks about you all the time. He says you're the bravest person he knows. Lily's smile faltered slightly. I'm not brave. I still get scared at night sometimes. I still miss my mom. Being brave doesn't mean you're never scared. It means you keep going even when you are scared. Your dad told me about your mom. She sounds like an amazing woman. She was. She taught me that helping people is the most important thing you can do. That's why I want to be a teacher like her when I grow up. I think you'll be an excellent teacher. Lily hugged her again, then ran off to show her friends the new presents. Carter handed Alexandra a plate with a hot dog and chips. Thank you for coming. It means a lot. To both of us. Thank you for inviting me. I didn't realize how much I needed this. Normal, happy, no boardrooms or FBI agents or legal battles. Just cake and kids and sunshine. That's real life. The other stuff is just noise we let distract us from what matters. Sick. They ate and talked while Lily played with her friends. Carter's mother joined them, a tiny woman with fierce eyes and hand twisted by arthritis. So you're the famous Ms. Reed, she said. Carter tells me you gave up everything to do the right thing. I did what anyone would do. No, most people wouldn't. Most people protect themselves first. You protected my son and granddaughter. That takes character. Your son has plenty of character on his own. I just tried to match it. Carter's mother patted her hand. You'll figure it out. Starting over is hard, but you're tougher than you think. I started over at 62 after my husband died. Thought my life was finished. Turned out it was just beginning. You've got time to build something beautiful. The party wound down as afternoon faded toward evening. Parents collected sticky children. Leftover cake was distributed. Lily made everyone sing happy birthday one more time because 8 was an important number and deserved proper celebration. As guests departed, Alexandra helped Carter clean up. They worked in comfortable silence, throwing away paper plates, folding up tables. Can I ask you something? Carter said finally. Anything. That night in your office, when I whispered about not letting anyone be alone, did you hear me? Every word. I've been wondering if I crossed a line. You were my boss. I shouldn't have. You didn't cross a line. You reminded me that I was human. That somewhere under the CEO armor, there was still a person who could feel something besides ambition. I needed that reminder more than you know. What are you going to do now, really? Apex offered me a consulting position, corporate ethics advisor, help them rebuild from the inside. Are you going to take it? I think so. It's not empire building, but maybe that's the point. Maybe I've spent enough time chasing power. Maybe it's time to chase purpose instead. Carter smiled. Vivian would have liked you. I wish I could have met her. Me too. She would have told you that losing everything material is how you figure out what actually matters. She was right about most things. Lily ran over holding the drawing she'd made for Alexandra. This is for you, it's us. See, that's you in the cape, and that's Daddy, and that's me. We're the team that catches bad guys. Alexandra took the drawing carefully. In crayon and marker, 3 figures stood together. The woman in the cape was smiling. The man beside her was strong. The little girl between them was holding both their hands. It's perfect, Alexandra said. I'm going to frame it and put it somewhere I'll see it every day. Really, because every time I look at it, I'll remember what's important. Thank you, Lily. The little girl hugged her one more time, then ran to play on the swings. Carter and Alexandra watched her go. She's going to be okay, Carter said quietly. For a long time, I wasn't sure. After Vivian died, Lily stopped talking for 3 months, just silence. The grief counselor said she was processing trauma, but I think she was just trying to figure out how to live in a world where her mother didn't exist anymore. What changed? Time, therapy, and eventually she told me something Vivian used to say, that even when people leave, the love they gave us stays, that we carry them with us in every good thing we do. Lily decided she wanted to carry her mother by being kind, by helping people, by being brave, even when it's hard. 8 years old, Alexandra murmured, and she understands something most adults never figure out. Yeah, she's something special. They finished cleaning up as the sun started setting over Puget Sound. Carter loaded his car with decorations and leftover food. Lily fell asleep in the back seat, exhausted from celebration. Thank you again for coming, Carter said, and for everything else. I know the last 2 weeks have been hell for you. They've also been clarifying. I spent 17 years climbing a ladder that I thought mattered. Turns out it was leaning against the wrong wall. Better to find out now than at the end. What's the right wall? I don't know yet, but I'm going to figure it out, with help from people who tell me the truth, people like you. Carter extended his hand. Alexandra shook it, feeling the calluses that came from real work, honest work. We're going to be okay, he said. All of us. It won't be easy and it won't be quick, but we're going to rebuild. Stronger this time. Better. Yes, Alexandra agreed. We will. She watched them drive away, Carter's beat-up Honda disappearing into traffic. Then she stood alone in the park, watching the sun sink toward the Olympics, painting the sky in colors that had no names. Her phone buzzed. Text from Morrison. Reeves officially accepted the plea deal. 30 years, no parole before 20. Case closed. You're free to move on. She typed back, thank you for everything. Jennifer pulled up in her car. Ready to go home. Alexandra looked at the park, at the families packing up, at the life happening all around her that she'd been too busy to notice for so long. Yeah, she said, getting in the passenger seat. I'm ready. But she wasn't thinking about Jennifer's spare bedroom, or the uncertain future, or the consulting job she'd probably accept. She was thinking about a little girl who'd lost her mother but learned to carry love forward. About a janitor who'd risked everything for integrity. About the whisper that changed her life. I couldn't save my wife, but I won't let anyone be alone again. Alexandra Reed had spent 17 years building an empire on control and calculation. It took one night, but in 7 words, to teach her that some promises matter more than profits. Some people matter more than power. Some losses clear the way for finding what you should have been protecting all along. The truth. The people. The possibility that doing the right thing, even when it costs everything, is the only thing that actually counts. She pulled out her phone and opened her photos. Lily's drawing stared back at her. 3 figures holding hands. A team that catches bad guys. Alexandra smiled and saved it as her wallpaper. Then she called Sandra Chen. Sandra, it's Alex, about that consulting position. I'm in. When do I start? Sandra's response came through before Alexandra even lowered the phone. Tomorrow morning, 8 a.m., conference room B, we need you. Alexandra arrived at Apex Solutions at 7:45 a.m., her consultant badge feeling strange after 17 years of executive access. The lobby security guard, a man named Thomas, who she'd passed thousands of times without really seeing, looked up and smiled. Ms. Reed? Good to have you back. Thank you, Thomas. How's your daughter doing, the one who was applying to colleges? He blinked, surprised, she knew. She got into University of Washington. Full scholarship, starts in the fall. That's wonderful. Congratulations. Thank you, and Ms. Reed, what you did exposing the fraud. A lot of us lost our jobs, but we know it wasn't your fault. We know you tried to protect us. Alexandra felt her throat tighten. I should have caught it sooner. Maybe, but you caught it when it mattered. That counts for something. She took the elevator to 39, where the executive offices had been reorganized. Sandra met her outside the conference room. Before we go in, you need to know what you're walking into. The board hired an interim CEO last week, James Mitchell from Technologic Industries. He's good, but he's cleaning house. Already let go 40% of management. The survivors are terrified. Why bring me in if he's making all the changes? Because the employees don't trust him. They don't trust the board, but they trust you. You're the one who blew the whistle, even though it cost you everything. Mitchell wants you to help rebuild the culture from the ground up. Make people feel safe reporting problems again. That's going to take more than 20 hours a month. I know. That's why we're offering you a full-time position, Chief Ethics Officer, new role reporting directly to the board. You set your own agenda, hire your own team full authority to investigate anything that doesn't smell right. Alexandra stopped walking. You want me to be the internal watchdog. We want you to be the conscience we forgot we needed. Interested. Before Alexandra could answer, the conference room door opened. A man in his 50s emerged, gray suit, firm handshake, eyes that missed nothing. Miss Reed, James Mitchell, I've heard a lot about you. Mr. Mitchell, I hope some of it was good. Most of it was complicated, which is usually more interesting than good. Come in, we have a lot to discuss. The conference room held 15 people. Department heads, HR legal, and Carter Williams sitting at the far end of the table looking uncomfortable in a button-down shirt instead of his work uniform. Alexandra stopped. Carter, what are you doing here? Mr. Mitchell called me yesterday, asked if I'd be willing to join the safety systems team full-time. Apparently documenting fraud qualifies as attention to detail. Mitchell gestured to an empty chair. Mr. Williams will be our new Director of Building Safety and Compliance. He'll report directly to you, Ms. Reed, assuming you accept the Chief Ethics Officer position. I haven't accepted yet. Then let me make my pitch. Apex Solutions was built on trust, the Todd Blanc trust that turned out to be misplaced. Martin Reeves exploited that trust for 5 years because nobody was watching. Nobody questioned the numbers. Nobody felt safe raising concerns. That ends now. Mitchell pulled up a presentation on the screen. This is our new organizational structure. Every department gets an ethics liaison. Every employee gets direct anonymous access to ethics reporting. And every quarter you present findings to the board with full transparency. No filters, no politics, no protecting powerful people. That's going to make me very unpopular, Alexandra said. Good. Popular ethics officers are usually ineffective ones. I need someone who'll tell me when we're screwing up, not someone who'll help us cover it up. That's you. Sandra leaned forward. Alex, this is a chance to build something that matters. Not an empire, a culture. The kind of company where people like Carter feel safe speaking up. Where doing the right thing doesn't cost you everything. Alexandra looked at Carter. What do you think? I think I've spent 3 years cleaning floors while watching people make decisions I knew were wrong, but had no power to stop. If this job means I get to actually fix problems instead of just mopping around them, I'm in. But only if you're in too. I'm not doing this without someone I trust running point. Mitchell checked his watch. I need an answer, Ms. Reed. We're announcing organizational changes at 10 a.m. Either you're part of them or you're not. Alexandra thought about the spare bedroom at Jennifer's house, about the resume she'd been updating about the safe, comfortable consulting position she could take instead. 20 hours a month, no real responsibility, easy money. Then she thought about Lily's drawing. About 3 figures holding hands catching bad guys together. I have conditions. Mitchell smiled. I'd be disappointed if you didn't. Carter gets a real salary, not contractor rates. Full benefits college fund for Lily housing stipend if he needs it. He risked his life to expose this fraud. He doesn't get to struggle financially while the company recovers. Done. The Vivian Williams Safety Fund gets permanent budget protection. No cuts even during downturns. We promise to honor his wife's memory. We keep that promise. Agreed. And I want authority to investigate anyone, including you, including board members, including major investors. Nobody's exempt. The moment I find something questionable, I report it publicly. No advance warning, no chance to spin it. Mitchell's smile widened. Now you're talking. Anything else? Yes, I want Thomas, the lobby security guard, promoted to head of physical security. His daughter got a full scholarship to UW. That takes intelligence and dedication. We should recognize it. Sandra blinked. You want to promote a security guard based on his daughter's scholarship. I want to promote good people who've been overlooked because we only notice titles instead of character. Thomas has worked here for 12 years. He knows this building, knows the people, sees things nobody else sees, because we've spent a decade looking through him instead of at him, and him. That changes now. Carter was smiling. Alexandra could see it in his eyes. Anything else? Mitchell asked. One more thing. We rehire everyone who lost their jobs in the fraud collapse. Not immediately, not all at once, but as we rebuild. We make it right. These people suffered because of Martin's crime and my failure to catch it. We owe them that much. That's going to cost millions we don't have right now. Then we find it, cut executive compensation, defer bonuses, sell assets, but we make it right. Otherwise, we're just building a prettier version of the same corrupt system. Mitchell stood and extended his hand. Welcome aboard, Chief Ethics Officer Reed. I'll have contracts drawn up by noon. You start immediately. They shook. His grip was firm, his eyes steady. This was a man who meant what he said, Alexandra thought. Maybe. Time would tell. The meeting continued for another 90 minutes, discussing structures and reporting lines and budgets. When it finally ended, Carter followed Alexandra out into the hallway. That was something, he said. Which part? All of it. You negotiating for me, for Thomas, for people you don't even know. That's not the CEO I met 3 weeks ago. The CEO you met 3 weeks ago didn't know what mattered. I'm learning. You're doing more than learning. You're building something good. Vivian would have liked you. You keep saying that. Because it's true. She always said the best people are the ones who grow when they're tested instead of breaking. You grew. They walked together to the elevator. Carter pressed the button. Lily wants to know if you're coming to dinner this week. My mother's cooking. She makes this pot roast that'll change your life. I don't want to intrude on family time. You're not intruding. You're invited. Thursday, 6 p.m. Bring your sister if she wants to come. Mom always makes too much food anyway. The elevator arrived. They stepped in. Carter, can I ask you something? Sure. That morning in Sub-Basement 3, when Martin had the gun, you weren't scared. I was terrified. You didn't show it. Navy trains you to push through fear. But honestly, I wasn't scared for me. I was scared of Lily growing up without either parent. Of her thinking I abandoned her, like she thinks I abandoned Vivian by being deployed when the fire happened. You didn't abandon anyone. I know that logically, but Lily's 5-year-old brain didn't. She asked me at the funeral why I didn't change the batteries before I left. That question has lived in my head every day for 3 years. What did you tell her? That I made a mistake, that I thought we had time, that I'll regret it for the rest of my life, but that her mother wouldn't want us to stop living because she's gone. She'd want us to love harder, help more, be braver, so that's what we're trying to do. The elevator opened on the lobby. They walked out together. Thursday, Alexandra said. 6 p.m., I'll be there. Good, Lily will be thrilled. She watched him leave, heading toward his beat-up Honda in the parking garage, Director of Building Safety and Compliance. A real job, real salary, real future. All because he'd been brave enough to document fraud when nobody was watching and honest enough to report it when it mattered. Her phone rang. Morrison. Miss Reed wanted to give you an update. Martin Reeves was formally sentenced this morning. 30 years, Federal Correctional Institution in Sheridan, Oregon. He'll serve minimum 20 before parole eligibility. How did he react? Quietly. His lawyers tried one last appeal claiming you and Carter conspired to frame him. Judge shut it down in about 30 seconds, said the evidence was overwhelming and the only conspiracy was Reeves's attempt to avoid responsibility for his own crimes. What about asset recovery? We've seized everything. House cars, investments, cryptocurrency wallets. Total recovery is approximately $11 million. Not the full $20 million he stole, but the rest was lost to Bitcoin volatility and operating expenses. The Victim Compensation Fund will distribute it to affected employees over the next 6 months. That's something. It's more than most fraud victims get. You should feel good about that. I will when everyone has their jobs back. Morrison was quiet for a moment. You know most CEOs in your position would have walked away. Taken their severance, blamed the CFO, moved on. You could have protected yourself. I spent 17 years protecting myself. It didn't make me happy. Maybe trying to protect other people will. For what it's worth, I think you're doing the right thing. Thank you. That means more than you know. She hung up and stood in the lobby watching employees come and go. Some recognized her and nodded. Others avoided eye contact, probably unsure how to treat a fallen CEO who'd suddenly returned as ethics officer. Thomas approached from the security desk. Ms. Reed, Mr. Mitchell's assistant, called down. Said to tell you that you approved to access any area of the building any time. Full clearance, no restrictions. Thank you, Thomas, and congratulations on the promotion. Head of Physical Security. You've earned it. His eyes widened. What promotion? Didn't Mitchell tell you yet? Tell me what? You're being promoted? Better salary, better benefits, management position. You start next week. Thomas stared at her. Ms. Reed, I don't understand. I'm just a security guard. You were a security guard. Now you're the person responsible for keeping everyone in this building safe. That's a job that requires intelligence, integrity, and attention to detail. You have all three. Will you accept? Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Don't thank me. Just keep doing what you've been doing. Seeing people, protecting people, remembering that everyone who walks through those doors matters equally. She left before he could respond, walking out into afternoon sunshine that felt warmer than it should have in October. Her phone buzzed with a text from Jennifer. How'd it go? She typed back, I got a job, full-time, chief ethics officer. That's amazing drinks tonight to celebrate. Can't, working. But Thursday I'm having pot roast with Carter's family. Want to come? Absolutely. I want to meet this janitor turned hero you keep talking about. Alexandra smiled and put her phone away. She had 3 hours before her first meeting with the ethics task force, which gave her just enough time to do something she should have done years ago. She drove to Apex Solutions' warehouse facility in Kent, where the maintenance and facilities staff were based. The building was old, functional, nothing like the glass tower downtown. But this was where the real work happened, where people fixed things, cleaned things, maintained things, where Carter had worked for 14 months before anyone noticed him. The facilities manager, a woman named Rosa Martinez, looked up from her desk. Can I help you? I'm Alexandra Reed. I used to be CEO. Now I'm Chief Ethics Officer. I'd like to talk to your team if they have a few minutes. Rosa's expression was carefully neutral. They're on break. Break room's down the hall. But Ms. Reed, they're not going to trust you, not after what happened. I know, but I have to start somewhere. The break room held maybe 20 people. Janitors, electricians, HVAC techs, all in work uniforms, all stopping mid-conversation when Alexandra walked in. She stood at the front of the room, Mom. I'm not going to take much of your time. I know most of you don't know who I am beyond the name on the building, and I know the last few weeks have been hell. Jobs lost, futures uncertain, all because someone at the top decided stealing was easier than leading. Silence. They were listening but not trusting. Not yet. I came here to tell you 3 things. First, I'm sorry. I was CEO. It was my job to catch fraud before it destroyed lives. I failed. That's on me, and I'm sorry. A man in the back spoke up. Little late for sorry when rent's due and we're all on unemployment. You're right. Sorry doesn't pay bills. Which brings me to the second thing. We're rehiring. Not immediately, but as fast as we can rebuild. Everyone who lost their jobs because of Martin Reeves's fraud will be offered their position back. Real jobs, real salaries, not contractor positions. The room shifted. People leaned forward. Third thing. We're creating a new reporting system. Direct line to my office. Anonymous if you want. If you see something wrong, something dangerous, something unethical, you report it. No retaliation, no consequences, no covering up. We fix problems instead of hiding them. Why should we believe you? The same man asked. Carter Williams reported problems. Look what happened to him. Carter Williams is now Director of Building Safety and Compliance, reporting directly to me. He has full authority to investigate any safety issue, shut down any operation, override any manager. And he got that job because he was brave enough to document fraud when it mattered. That's the company we're building now. One where doing the right thing gets you promoted, not fired. Rosa stood up. Ms. Reed, I've worked here for 18 years. I've seen 3 CEOs come and go. They all promised to listen. None of them did. Why are you different? Because I lost everything and found out it wasn't really everything. The empire I built was impressive, but it was empty. I'm not trying to rebuild an empire. I'm trying to build something that actually matters. A place where people like Carter get recognized, where people like you get heard, where doing the right thing doesn't cost you your family's security. Pretty words? Yes, they are, but I'm backing them up with action. Real budget for ethics investigations, real authority to override bad decisions, real protection for whistleblowers. And if I fail again, you can hold me accountable, because that's what ethics means. Everyone gets held to the same standard, including me. She left her business card on the table. My direct line. Call anytime. I mean that. Walking out, she heard whispers behind her. Not trust, not yet, but possibility. And possibility was a start. Thursday arrived. Faster than Alexandra expected, filled with meetings, interviews, and the overwhelming task of building an ethics program from nothing. She left the office at 5:30, picked up Jennifer, and drove to the address Carter had texted her. The apartment building was in Northgate, older but well-maintained. They climbed to the 3rd floor. Carter answered on the first knock. You came? We were invited, plus Jennifer wanted to meet the famous Carter Williams. Jennifer extended her hand. The sister, I've heard a lot about you. Good things, I hope. Complicated things, which are usually better than good things. Lily appeared behind Carter wearing an apron covered in flour. Ms. Reed, we're making biscuits. Grandma says I'm very good at rolling dough. I bet you are. Can I help? Grandma says too many cooks spoil the broth, but we're not making broth. We're making biscuits, so probably it's okay. Carter's mother emerged from the kitchen wiping her hands on a towel. Betty Williams, you must be the famous Ms. Reed who gave up everything to do the right thing. Just Alexandra, and I didn't give up everything. I gave up things that turned out not to matter as much as I thought they did. Smart woman, come in, come in. Dinner's almost ready. Lily, go wash your hands. Carter set 2 more places. Jennifer, you like pot roast. Love it. Good. I made enough for an army, old habit from raising 3 boys who ate like they had hollow legs. They ate at a table that barely fit everyone, passing dishes and sharing stories. Carter talked about his new position, the safety protocols he was implementing, the resistance he was already facing from managers who didn't like being told their shortcuts were dangerous. They'll come around, Alexandra said. Once they realize you have full backing from me and Mitchell, they'll fall in line. And if they don't, then we replace them with people who understand that safety isn't negotiable. Lily listened, her eyes moving between them. Daddy, does this mean you're a boss now? Sort of. I'm in charge of making sure the building is safe. Like a superhero. More like a really careful inspector. That's a boring superhero name. You should be Captain Safety, and Ms. Reed can be Truth Lady. Jennifer laughed. Truth Lady, I love it. Better than what the press is calling me, Alexandra muttered. What's that? Betty asked. The whistleblower CEO, the woman who destroyed $1 billion merger, take your pick. How about the woman who chose integrity over empire? Carter said quietly. That's what I call you. The table went quiet. Lily looked between them, sensing something important happening, but not quite understanding what. That's a better name, she announced. You should tell the newspapers they're wrong. Maybe I will. After dinner, while Betty and Jennifer cleaned up, despite Alexandra's protests, Carter took her out to the small balcony overlooking the parking lot. Thank you for coming. It meant a lot to Lily, to all of us, really. Thank you for inviting me. I didn't realize how much I needed normal. Normal's underrated. Everyone chases extraordinary, but normal is where life actually happens. Vivian taught you that. Among other things, she had this saying, build a life, not a resume. Took me years to understand what she meant. A resume is impressive. A life is meaningful. They're not always the same thing. No, they're not. They stood in comfortable silence watching traffic pass below. Can I ask you something personal? Carter said. Sure. Do you regret it, exposing Martin, losing everything you built? Alexandra considered. I regret not catching it sooner. I regret the 400 people who lost their jobs. I regret that my failure to see what was happening hurt so many innocent people. But do I regret exposing the fraud once I found it? No, never. Because the alternative was becoming the kind of person who values protecting herself more than protecting the truth. I spent 17 years being that person. I don't want to be her anymore. Good, because Lily keeps asking when you're coming back for dinner. She likes you. I like her too. She's wise beyond her years. She has to be. Life forced her to grow up too fast. But she's okay. We're okay. For the first time since Vivian died, I actually believe that. Lily burst onto the balcony. Daddy, Grandma says it's time for dessert. She made apple pie. We'll be right there, sweetheart. Miss Reed, you have to try it. Grandma's pie won the county fair 3 years in a row. They went back inside, and Alexandra tried pie that lived up to its reputation while Lily told elaborate stories about her day at school. Normal. Family. The life that happened between the impressive moments. Driving home later, Jennifer said, He's in love with you. Alexandra nearly swerved. What? Carter, he's in love with you. You can see it in how he looks at you, how he talks about you, how he listens when you speak. That's ridiculous. We barely know each other. You know each other in the ways that matter. He's seen you at your worst and your best. He's watched you risk everything for integrity, and you've seen him do the same. That's not nothing. He's my employee now. So date him anyway. Life's too short to follow rules that don't matter. I just got divorced from my career. I'm not ready for anything else. Jennifer smiled. Sure you're not. Keep telling yourself that. Alexandra didn't answer, because deep down she knew her sister was right, and that terrified her more than facing Martin Reeves ever had. 6 months passed in a blur of rebuilding and revelation. Alexandra threw herself into the ethics program with the same intensity she'd once reserved for quarterly earnings, but with a different purpose now. She wasn't building an empire, she was building accountability. The first major test came on a Wednesday morning in April when Thomas called her direct line at 6:42 a.m. Ms. Reed, we have a situation. 3rd floor server room. One of the contractors is refusing to let me inspect his work. Says I don't have clearance. What kind of work? Network installation. But the wiring looks wrong. Too much capacity for what the work order says. Reminds me of what Carter found last year. Alexandra was already grabbing her keys. Don't let him leave. I'm 10 minutes away. She made it in 8. Thomas met her at the elevator with 2 security officers and the contractor, a nervous man in his 30s, who kept checking his phone. Sir, I'm Alexandra Reed, Chief Ethics Officer. I need to see your work order and installation plans. I already showed security. Everything's approved. By whom? Director of IT, Mark Sullivan. Alexandra pulled out her tablet and checked the approval chain. Mark Sullivan had signed off on the installation 3 days ago. Standard network upgrade according to the documentation. Except Thomas was right. The wiring didn't match. Mr. Thomas, what specifically concerns you about this installation? These cables are rated for industrial power loads, not data transmission, and this junction box connects directly to the building's main electrical grid, not the network infrastructure. This isn't a network upgrade. This is power distribution. The contractor's phone buzzed. He glanced at it, and Alexandra saw his expression change. Fear. Who just texted you? Nobody. Look, I need to finish this job. I'm behind schedule. Show me the text. I don't have to show you anything. I'm a contractor, not your employee. You're working in my building under false pretenses. Show me the phone or I call the FBI right now. His hand moved toward his pocket. Thomas stepped forward, hand on his radio. The contractor froze. Don't make this harder than it needs to be, Alexandra said quietly. Whatever you're involved in, cooperation helps. Running makes it worse. The contractor slowly pulled out his phone and handed it over. The text was from Mark Sullivan. Abort. Security knows. Get out now. Alexandra looked at Thomas. Lock down the building. Nobody leaves until we figure out what's happening here. She called Morrison while security sealed the exits. He answered on the second ring. Ms. Reed, it's been a while. I think we have another fraud situation. Different person, same pattern. Unauthorized electrical work disguised as legitimate installations. How extensive? Don't know yet, but if my IT director is involved in trying to cover it up, probably extensive. I'm on my way. Alexandra called Carter next. I need you at the downtown office, now. We have a situation that looks like Martin's playbook. I'm dropping Lily at school, 20 minutes. Make it 15. Mark Sullivan tried to leave at 7:18 a.m. Thomas stopped him at the lobby exit. Sorry, Mr. Sullivan. Building's in lockdown. Security protocol. Since when? Since Ms. Reed ordered it 15 minutes ago. You'll need to speak with her before leaving. Mark's face went pale. I have a meeting downtown. Then you'll be late? This way, please. Thomas escorted him to the 3rd floor conference room where Alexandra waited with the contractor, the suspicious wiring diagrams, and a growing sense of déjà vu. Mark, thanks for joining us. What's this about? I have a busy morning? I'm sure you do, but first I need you to explain why you approved an electrical installation disguised as a network upgrade. I don't know what you're talking about. Alexandra slid the work order across the table. This is your signature, your approval, and this contractor says you hired him personally. So IT directors hire contractors all the time. For network installations, yes, not for industrial power distribution systems that bypass building management controls. That's not IT work, Mark. That's fraud. His jaw tightened. You're paranoid, just like with Martin. You see conspiracies everywhere. Martin stole $20 million using the exact same method. Unauthorized electrical work hidden in legitimate maintenance. Tell me I'm paranoid after we inspect every installation you've approved in the last year." Carter arrived slightly out of breath. He looked at the wiring diagrams and went still. "This is a crypto mining setup, or was going to be. Same bypass configuration Martin used, just newer equipment, more efficient." Mark stood up. "I'm not answering any more questions without my lawyer." "That's your right," Alexandra said. "But you're not leaving this building until the FBI arrives. Thomas, please escort Mr. Sullivan to a secure office and make sure he's comfortable." After Mark was removed, the contractor started talking. His name was Dennis Park, and he'd been hired 6 months ago to install what Mark told him was a pilot program for distributed computing. Experimental AI research that needed dedicated power systems to avoid interfering with regular network operations. "I thought it was legitimate," Dennis said. "Mark showed me budget approvals, technical specs, everything looked official. I'm just an electrician. I install what I'm paid to install." "How many installations have you completed?" This was going to be the 4th. "The other 3 are already running." "Where?" "Floors 12, 27, and 38. Same configuration, about 200 kilowatts each." Carter was already calculating. "That's 600 kilowatts of hidden power consumption. At current Seattle rates, roughly $50,000 a month, times 6 months if the first installation went live in October." $300,000, Alexandra said quietly. "Mark stole $300,000 in 6 months, and if we hadn't caught him today, he would have kept going." Morrison arrived with 3 other agents. They photographed everything, took statements, and arrested Mark Sullivan by 9:30 a.m. His lawyer showed up 15 minutes too late. By noon, the story was on every news site. Apex Solutions catches second fraud attempt. Ethics officer stops crime before it starts. Sandra Chen called. "Alexandra, the board wants to meet. Emergency session. They're very pleased." Pleased Mark Sullivan was a director-level employee. He worked here for 8 years. The fact that he thought he could get away with this means our culture still has serious problems. "But you caught him. That's what matters." "No. What matters is building a culture where people don't try this in the first place. Mark saw what happened to Martin and thought he could do it better. That's not a success story. That's a warning sign." She hung up and found Carter reviewing the electrical systems on floors 12, 27, and 38. The mining equipment was already running hidden behind false walls and disguised as emergency backup systems. "Clever, son," Carter admitted. He learned from Martin's mistakes. Distributed the equipment across multiple floors so no single area drew too much attention. Used newer, more efficient hardware that generated less heat. If Thomas hadn't caught that contractor, Mark might have gotten away with it for years. How do we prevent this from happening again? Same way the Navy prevents electrical fraud on ships. Random inspections. Multiple sign-offs. Independent verification. And most importantly, a culture where people feel safe reporting suspicions before they become crimes. Alexandra sat down heavily. "I thought we were building that culture. 6 months of ethics training, anonymous reporting systems, zero-tolerance policies. And still, Mark thought he could do this." "Because Mark's an opportunist. He saw a system that worked once and thought he could replicate it. But here's the difference. Last time it took over a year to expose the fraud. This time it took 3 days. That's progress." 3 days during which he was stealing from the company. Yes, but 3 days instead of 5 years. That's not nothing. Carter was right, but it still felt like failure. Alexandra had promised to build something better, something honest. And here they were, catching fraud again. Her phone rang. "Morrison?" "Ms. Reed, Mark Sullivan is talking. He's claiming this was a legitimate research project approved by Mitchell. Says you're overreaching and harassing employees." "That's ridiculous. Mitchell knows nothing about this." "Can you prove that—" Alexandra froze. "You think Mitchell's involved?" "I think we need to verify everyone's story before we make accusations. Where's the original budget approval for this distributed computing project?" "I'll find it." She spent the next 4 hours with Carter and Thomas pulling every document related to Mark's installations. The budget approval was real. Mitchell's signature was on it. Dated October 15th, 3 months after Alexandra had become chief ethics officer. Either Mitchell was lying or someone had forged his signature. At 5:30 p.m., she walked into Mitchell's office without knocking. He looked up from his laptop, surprised. "Alexandra, usually people schedule appointments. Did you approve a distributed computing research project for Mark Sullivan last October?" "What? No. So why would I approve that we don't have budget for research right now?" She slid the document across his desk. "Because your signature is right here." Mitchell studied it, frowning. "This isn't my signature. Close, but not quite. See this loop on the M? I don't write it that way. And the date is wrong. I was in Tokyo all of October 15th. Couldn't have signed anything here." Alexandra felt her stomach sink. "Mark forged your signature." "Apparently, which means this fraud goes deeper than we thought. He didn't just steal power, he manufactured authorization to do it. That's premeditated, sophisticated corporate crime." "I need to call Morrison." "Already done. I called him an hour ago when HR flagged unusual expense reports from Mark's department. We've been running parallel investigations all afternoon." "You could have told me." "I could have, but I wanted to see if you'd find it independently. You did. That's what good ethics officers do. They don't wait for permission. They chase truth wherever it leads." He stood up and shook her hand. "Good work, Alexandra. You just saved this company from making the same mistake twice. That's worth something." She left his office feeling unsteady. 6 months of rebuilding and they'd still almost been burned by the same scam. How many more times would this happen? How many more Martin Reeveses and Mark Sullivans were waiting in the shadows looking for opportunities to steal? Thomas found her in the hallway. "Ms. Reed, there's someone here to see you. Says it's important." "Who?" "Martin Reeves's brother, the one who owned the electrical company." Alexandra's blood went cold. "What does he want?" "Didn't say, just asked to speak with you. Should I call security?" "No, I'll talk to him, but stay close." Robert Reeves waited in the lobby, looking older than his 59 years. He stood when Alexandra approached. "Ms. Reed, thank you for seeing me." "I didn't agree to see you. I agreed to hear why you're here. You have 2 minutes." "I came to apologize for my brother, for my company, for my part in what happened. I didn't know Martin was using my business to commit fraud. But I should have. I should have asked questions when he kept requesting installations without proper documentation." "Why are you telling me this now?" "Because I've been following the news. Another fraud attempt. Another person trying to steal using the same methods. And I realized something. My silence enabled Martin. My willingness to look the other way, to trust family, without verifying, to prioritize business over ethics. That made me complicit." He pulled out an envelope. "This is a check for $6 million. Everything I have left after the FBI seized Martin's assets. I'm donating it to the Victim Compensation Fund. It won't fix what happened, but maybe it helps some of the people who lost their jobs." Alexandra took the envelope, stunned. "Why?" "Because my brother destroyed lives and I helped him do it even though I didn't mean to. Because choosing not to see wrongdoing is the same as participating in it. Because you lost everything to expose the truth and I gained everything by ignoring it. That's not right." "The FBI cleared you. You don't owe this." "Maybe not legally, but morally I owe it and more. My company installed the systems Martin used to steal. My signature is on those contracts. My workers did the physical labor that enabled the fraud. Legal or not, I'm responsible." He turned to leave, then stopped. "Ms. Reed, I heard what you're building here. An ethics program that actually means something. I hope it works. I hope you create the kind of company where people like me don't get to pretend ignorance. Where asking hard questions matters more than protecting comfortable relationships. The world needs more of that." Alexandra watched him leave the envelope heavy in her hands. $6 million. Donated voluntarily by a man the law had already exonerated. That was integrity. That was taking responsibility even when you didn't have to. She called Sandra immediately. "We just received a $6 million donation for the Victim Compensation Fund from Robert Reeves." Silence. Then Sandra said quietly, "Martin's brother, the one who owned the electrical company." "The same. He says it's everything he has left. He wants it to go to the employees who lost their jobs." "That's extraordinary. It's what responsibility looks like when you choose it instead of waiting to be forced into it." That evening, Alexandra stood at the annual board meeting presenting her 6-month ethics report. 12 board members, Mitchell department heads, and Carter sitting in the back row, all watching her. "6 months ago, you hired me to rebuild trust, to create a culture where fraud couldn't hide. Today, we proved that culture works. We caught a fraud attempt in 3 days instead of 5 years. We stopped $300,000 in theft before it became $20 million. We did that because people like Thomas and Carter felt safe raising concerns. Because reporting problems is now rewarded instead of punished." She advanced the slide. "But we're not finished. Mark Sullivan thought he could replicate Martin's crime because our systems weren't strong enough yet. We have work to do, more training, better oversight, deeper cultural change. David Kim raised his hand. Ms. Reed, you've mentioned the Vivian Williams Safety Fund several times. Can you explain why a safety initiative falls under ethics? Because ethics isn't just about financial fraud. It's about every decision we make that impacts people's lives. Vivian Williams died because someone decided saving money on a smoke detector was acceptable risk. That's an ethical failure just as much as embezzlement. The fund honors her memory by preventing similar failures in other families. Carter stood up. The room went quiet. If I may, I'd like to add something. My wife died because systems failed. Not just a smoke detector, but a chain of decisions that prioritized cost over safety. Building codes that allowed cheap equipment, inspection systems that didn't catch violations, a culture that treated safety as an expense instead of an investment. The Vivian Williams Safety Fund doesn't just distribute smoke detectors, it changes thinking. It reminds people that behind every safety regulation is a human life that matters. His voice cracked slightly. Vivian taught second grade for 9 years. She made $32,000 a year. By corporate standards, she was nobody, but she impacted hundreds of kids who are better people because she taught them. Her life had value that no balance sheet will ever capture. This fund remembers that. It says profit isn't the only thing that matters. People matter too. All people. Equally. The room was completely silent. Sandra Chen stood up and started clapping. Mitchell joined her. Then David Kim. Then the entire room, everyone on their feet applauding Carter's words and Vivian's memory and the reminder that business was ultimately about human beings, not just numbers. When the applause finally died, Mitchell spoke. Motion to increase the Vivian Williams Safety Fund budget from $500,000 to $2 million annually. All in favor. 12 hands went up, unanimous. Motion carries. Mr. Williams, Ms. Reed, congratulations. You're changing this company in ways that matter. After the meeting, Carter found Alexandra in her office packing up for the day. That was something, he said. You were something. That speech about Vivian. The whole room felt it. I meant what I said. She mattered. Everyone matters. That's what you've been trying to teach this company. I just gave it words. They walked to the parking garage together. At her car, Carter hesitated. Can I ask you something? Always. Do you remember that night when I whispered about not letting anyone be alone? Every word. I need you to know something. I didn't just whisper that because you looked cold or tired. I whispered it because you looked like I felt after Vivian died, alone in a crowd, successful but empty, building things that impressed people but didn't fulfill you. Alexandra's breath caught. Carter? Let me finish. 6 months ago you were my boss, untouchable. Now you're my colleague, my friend, and I need to be honest with you. Somewhere between catching fraud and eating pot roast, I stopped seeing you as the CEO who gave me a chance. I started seeing you as Alexandra, the woman who chose truth over empire, who shows up for 8-year-old birthday parties, who fights for people she barely knows because it's right. What are you saying? I'm saying Lily asked me this morning if you're going to be her new mom, and I didn't know how to answer because I don't know what we are. Colleagues, friends, something more that we're both too careful to name. Alexandra's heart was pounding. Carter, this is complicated. You work for me. There are rules. Rules written by people who never had to choose between following policy and following their heart. I'm not asking you to break rules. I'm asking you to be honest. Do you feel this too? Or am I misreading everything? She looked at him, really looked, at the gray in his temples and the scar on his chin from some Navy accident he'd never explained, at the hands that had built things and fixed things and held a daughter through nightmares, at the man who'd risked everything for integrity and somehow made her want to risk something too. Yes, she said quietly. I feel it too, and it terrifies me. Why? Because the last time I let someone matter this much, I was 17 and hadn't learned yet that caring about people means they can hurt you. I spent decades protecting myself, building walls, choosing ambition over connection because ambition couldn't abandon me. And now, you're standing here asking me to tear down those walls, and I don't know if I remember how. Carter stepped closer. Then maybe we figure it out together. No rush, no pressure, just two people who found each other in a mess and decided to build something honest from the wreckage. What do you think? I think Lily drew us holding hands 6 months ago. I think she saw something we were both too scared to admit. I think your daughter is wiser than both of us combined. She gets that from Vivian. And from you. He smiled, and Alexandra felt something shift. Not the earth-shattering movie moment shift, just a quiet recognition that maybe possibly she didn't have to be alone anymore. That choosing to trust someone wasn't weakness, it was the bravest thing she could do. Carter, would you and Lily want to have dinner Friday, just the three of us, not pot roast at your mother's, somewhere nice, my treat? Are you asking us on a date? I'm asking if you'd like to spend time together outside of work. What happens after that we'll figure out as we go. Then yes, Lily will be thrilled. She's been asking when we're seeing you again. What about you? Are you thrilled? I'm terrified and hopeful and probably making a mistake and don't care because life's too short to play it safe. So yes, I'm thrilled. They stood in the parking garage, two people who'd found each other by accident and chosen each other on purpose, and for the first time in months, Alexandra felt like she was exactly where she was supposed to be. Friday came. They went to a small Italian restaurant in Fremont, nothing fancy but perfect. Lily ordered spaghetti and got sauce everywhere. Carter told stories about Navy deployments that made Lily laugh. Alexandra relaxed in a way she hadn't in years. Over dessert, Lily looked at Alexandra seriously. Are you going to be my new mom? The table went silent. Lily, Carter started. That's not... It's okay, Alexandra said. She turned to Lily. I don't know yet, sweetheart. Your dad and I are still figuring out what we are to each other, but I can tell you this, I care about you very much, and whether I'm your mom or your friend or something in between, I'm going to be here. Is that okay? Lily considered this carefully. Can you still come to my school plays? Absolutely. And help me with math homework, Daddy's bad at fractions. Hey, Carter protested. I'm adequate at fractions. Deal, Alexandra said. I'll help with homework. Then okay, you can be whatever you want as long as you don't leave. People leave a lot. I don't like it. Alexandra felt her throat tighten. This child had lost her mother and learned too young that people disappear. Now she was asking for the one thing Alexandra had spent a lifetime avoiding. Commitment. Staying power. The promise not to run when things got hard. I won't leave, Konyu, Alexandra said. Not unless you and your dad ask me to. That's a promise. Lily smiled satisfied. Okay, can I have more ice cream? Later, after they dropped Lily at Betty's for a sleepover, Carter walked Alexandra to her car. You didn't have to promise that. We barely know what this is yet. I know, but Lily needed to hear it. And honestly, I needed to say it. I've spent so long avoiding promises because promises mean vulnerability. But maybe that's exactly what I need. To be vulnerable. To risk caring about people even though it's scary. It is scary, but it's also worth it. Your wife taught you that. She did. And now I'm teaching it to Lily. And maybe if you let me, I can teach it to you too. Alexandra kissed him. Soft tentative, the beginning of something neither could predict, but both wanted to explore. When they pulled apart, Carter was smiling. So we're doing this, slowly, carefully, but yes, we're doing this. 6 months later, at the 1-year anniversary of exposing Martin's fraud, Apex Solutions held a company-wide meeting. 470 employees all rehired, all back at work, filling the main conference center. Mitchell stood at the podium. A year ago, this company almost died. Not from market forces or competition, but from our own ethical failures. We built a culture where fraud could hide because we valued profits over people. That changes today, officially and permanently. He gestured to Alexandra and Carter. These two people saved us, not just by exposing fraud, but by showing us what integrity looks like when it costs you everything. Ms. Reed gave up her position as CEO. Mr. Williams risked his life to protect evidence. Together, they reminded us that how we build matters as much as what we build. The screen behind him lit up with a logo, a single light in the dark designed by Lily Williams. Today, we're launching the Williams Integrity Initiative. Every employee, from janitors to executives, gets the same ethics training, the same authority to report problems, the same protection when they do. We're creating a culture where doing the right thing isn't exceptional, it's expected. The room erupted in applause. After the meeting, Alexandra found Carter on the roof deck looking out at the city. Quite a day, Hameen, she said. Yeah, Vivian would have loved this. Not the attention, but the impact. Lives changed because we chose truth over comfort. Do you ever regret it walking into that sub-basement, confronting Martin? All of it. Every day I get to watch Lily grow up in a world that values integrity. I know it was worth it. Every time someone reports a problem without fear, I know it mattered. And every time I look at you and realize we built something real, from something broken, I know I'd do it all again. Alexandra leaned against him. Me too. I lost an empire and found a life. That's not a bad trade. No, it's not. They stood together as the sun set, two people who'd started as CEO and janitor and become something neither had planned but both needed. Partners, friends, the beginning of a family built on honesty instead of hierarchy. Below them, the city hummed with life. Hundreds of thousands of people making choices big and small that would ripple outward in ways they'd never see. Alexandra used to think she needed to control those ripples. Now she understood she just needed to make them count. One choice at a time. One promise kept. One person protected. That was enough. That was everything. Lily was waiting for them in the lobby holding a new drawing. This time, three figures stood in front of a building with a light shining from every window. "It's us," she explained, "making sure nobody has to be alone in the dark anymore, just like Mommy would have wanted." Alexandra took the drawing carefully, her eyes burning. "It's perfect, sweetheart. Thank you." "You're welcome. Can we get ice cream now?" Daddy promised. "I did no such thing." "You did at breakfast. You said maybe if I was good." "I said maybe. That's not a promise." "Semantics," Lily announced, using a word she'd clearly heard Alexandra use too many times. They walked out into the evening, three people who'd found each other in the wreckage of broken systems and decided to build something better. Not perfect, not easy, but honest, real, worth fighting for. And sometimes Alexandra thought that's all integrity really is. The choice to keep fighting for what's right even when it's hard. Even when it costs you everything you thought you wanted. Even when the only reward is knowing you kept your promises to people who mattered. She looked at Carter and Lily at the drawing. And Lily had made at the building behind them, where hundreds of people were learning that truth was worth more than profit. This was what success actually looked like. Not empires or accolades or corner offices. Just people keeping promises. Just love that chose to stay. Just light in the dark held by hands that refused to let go. That was enough. That was everything. That was home.